After 99 episodes, we've become known as the guys who love to critique lists. So we are finally answering your question, which is, what do we think the best 100 books of all time are? Welcome back to the Life and Books podcast. My name is Tony. With me, as always, is Andy, a.k.a. Metafictional Meathead, for our 100th episode.
Episode 100.
Crazy.
I'm certain that you and I are going to have duplicates. So this is
Correct.
more likely going to be, at minimum, or at maximum, I guess, the top 99 books of all time,
Yeah.
according to Life on Books.
So the way that we've done this is we've each selected our top 50, and we'll go through them. Like Andy just said, there are bound to be duplicates.
There's going to be. I know there are.
Yeah.
I saw at least one book that you were getting ready on the table that is also in my stack.
Okay.
So we have our top 10 with us.
Correct. We didn't bust out 50 books each, physically speaking.
Physically speaking, yeah, that would have been
Too much.
too much.
This table's not big enough.
No. And I texted you this morning, like, I needed 2 bags to pack up my top 10.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been a pain in the ass to bring 50 books over. Also, it would have been forever before I put them away. There would have been like a random 50 books just like scattered
Yeah.
around my library.
My office upstairs is a disaster because I bring books up there to film content, and then same thing. They don't get refiled in time, and then they get mixed in with other stuff.
Yeah, it's usually like we record on Sundays. Like if I bring over a stack of books, 5, 10, whatever it is, it's usually a week before I put them away.
Yeah. Yeah, same. And then, of course, I'm like getting books sent to me. I'm buying my own books.
Right.
And so I bring it to my office because I'm like, oh, I'll film a piece of content about these books that I got in the mail. And then I don't get around to it, and it just piles up. But so today we are celebrating our 100th episode. So if you've been with us for a long time, thanks for all the support. It's been a few years. It's taken us a few years to get to 100, even though we more or less record weekly, but of course things always come up.
Yeah, I mean from like February of last year up through like when I had surgery, we were pretty good at like every week.
Yeah.
Obviously had to take a few weeks off while I was having surgery.
Yep.
Or recovering from surgery. Would have been fun if I was doing well enough and you had brought all the equipment to the hospital.
Yeah.
Just recording live from.
I mean, if you were
hospital.
physically up to it, I would have done it, but
I was not.
you were not.
I was not.
Yeah.
And then lots of recording. So
Yeah, it's pretty cool because I think statistically speaking, like some absurd amount of podcasts that get started never reach even 25 episodes.
totally.
So to do 100 is I'm proud of us.
I am too. You know, we've talked about this before. Like, obviously, we sit and chat here for hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, depending on the topic. But like we've talked about this before, like the time commitment outside of it, you doing all the editing work. I mean, not that I do that much, but like we've talked about like it's an hour round trip of driving.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
get
you
here.
still got to drive over and be here for an hour and a half.
Right. And,
Yeah.
take some time out of my Sunday. And like, I've talked about this a little bit with you. Like, just I've been slammed at work lately and like getting a little bit of podcast fatigue. Not so much recording the podcast, but like there's 3 hours out of my Sunday that like,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
would almost sometimes like, I just want to be in bed or
Yeah.
like on the couch reading or whatever, or doing nothing.
So we've sacrificed for you guys. That's what we're trying to say here.
And
for
like
your entertainment.
But then I was like driving over this morning and like the couple times that we've recorded like recently, just been like not begrudging driving over, but just kind of like tired, just feeling burnt out. And then like driving over this morning, I was just like, this is cool. Like 100 episodes. That's not nothing.
It's not nothing,
and people are still tuning in,
which is crazy.
like episode 99 got almost 150 comments, I think.
Yeah.
Close to that.
I anticipated it being a good one because, as I had said before, our New York Times episode is by far our most watched podcast episode. It has close to 70,000 views, which for a long form piece of content is good anyway, but it's particularly good for us. I would say our average on YouTube is maybe 4,000 to 5,000 views, and then Spotify and the aggregation of all the other little podcast platforms it populates.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe accounts for another couple thousand each. But
and now it's our turn to present our list and subject ourselves to feedback. I hope someone out there will make a reaction video to our list.
I'm sure that they will.
Reviewing our top 100.
I would love to ask our audience watching to score themselves as we did last week. So last week we gave 5 points to ourselves if we had read the book on the Guardian's best novels list. We gave ourselves 3 points if we had read a different work by an author that made the list, and then 1 point if we own the book that's on the list but haven't read it. And inevitably, whenever we do those types of episodes, we have opinions about the lists or the books, or just we share comments about our impression of a work that we haven't read. Do we want to read it? What do we think about it? Where does it kind of like occupy space in our mind? In our own reading, and people are always like, well, you haven't read these books or whatever, and so you can't comment that you would think that this book should have been on the list when it wasn't. Which is fine, but I would encourage folks today to score themselves so we can see how much of our reading they have participated in.
It's so funny because like I've been pretty critical, to say the least, of other lists. And, particularly with the Guardian list, like I had some things to say in response to some comments just about how like, well, I don't think, or well, I agree that there are books on that list that were like worthy of being among the best books of all time. Like my problem with these lists, at a certain point, like they end up kind of being this, I think what I said to someone was like, they're just kind of this carbon copy of the last newspaper column that spit out a top whatever 100 list, and like it just regurgitates a lot of like what is the Western canon. And someone kind of challenged me on this idea of that, like, oh, well, you think you're such a more well-read and knowledgeable reader because you go out of your way to like read things that no one has ever heard of.
Oh, yeah, I saw that comment. I thought it was kind of bizarre because you never even like. I think the actual quote was, you think you've transcended an understanding of literature because you go out of your way to read obscure things. And I was like, not only did you definitely not say that, I don't think anything you said even implied that.
And I don't mean to like belittle this person, because I do think it raises an interesting point of conversation. But like my response to that person, and I sort of said this on the pod, like I think lists like this are good if you're like trying to get involved, get into active reading, especially in the case of like, what we've talked about is capital L literature. You're not sure where to start. So it's a good like jumping off point, I think. But one of the things that I said, or said in response to that comment was like, to me, reading is so much more fun when you're like kind of developing your own taste, developing your own personal canon, like coming up with these types of books that you want to look for. Like, I talked about this, I think, before, or maybe it was last week when, because one of D.H. Lawrence's books was on the list. How, like, when I first got into reading, like, I'd go to a place like Old Number 6 and just kind of go, like, oh, I recognize that author's name.
Right.
Like, I don't know anything about D.H. Lawrence. I knew very little, but, like, and now I can tell you I don't really have much interest in his work. And that might change a year from now. Who knows? But, like, the point is, right, like if I walked into a bookstore tomorrow and I saw 8 books by D.H. Lawrence, I'm not going to grab any of them. Whereas like if I saw a bunch of Volman or like a ton of Latin American stuff, even if they're authors that like, not like a Marquez that everybody and their mother knows about.
Right.
Some like obscure thing that like I read in a one-off little review or whatever that someone like Bolaño wrote. Like I would instantly grab that. But something like a Lawrence, like I'm like, whatever. And it's just kind of fun to like develop your own tastes and interests. And it adds like a layer of excitement to the reading. But here I am with my own list. I'm sure the online literati are going to have something to say. So I am looking forward to the commentary that comes out of the internet's cloaca on this one.
Are you? Do you have any disclaimers about your list before we begin? Because I have a couple.
I mean, I think the only thing that I would offer as a disclaimer, and like this isn't, I think this would make sense. I mean, it's probably worthwhile to say, but like with something like The Guardian, like they pulled 172 authors, review, whatever,
critics,
literati people.
Yeah.
So like that's going to be much more of like an aggregate list of like, you're going to have someone that's read Virginia Woolf and someone that's read Dostoevsky and someone that's read, well, Pynchon didn't make the list, but like to use a name, right? Like, so it's going to be much more of an amalgamation of this, like in a truer sense of maybe like a top 100 of all time. Whereas like, these are 50 of my 50 favorite books that I've read. By all means, please come into comments and tell me that like I need to read Jane Austen or that I need to read Virginia Woolf or George Eliot or whoever. But like, I'll spoil it right now. Like those names are not going to be on my list because I haven't read them, those authors. I haven't read any Dickens. There's not going to be any Dickens on my list.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting here and saying that like I'm a better, well-read or smarter reader because like I have more like of these kind of like obscure books on my list. They're just, those are the books that I've read and they've been my favorite 50.
On that point, it has been my experience over the last 3 years doing social media about books that there is a delta between what people say that they want out of book content and what their behavior actually reveals.
Yeah.
And I would say that at least a large chunk of people who watch or engage with book-related content on social media, more than wanting to get a good book recommendation, and there's people that certainly want that, and they say they want it, and their behavior reflects that. But I have found that more than anything, people want their pre-existing opinion to be validated by somebody else.
Totally.
Particularly somebody with an audience. And so I think, and that goes for hating something or liking something.
And that extends beyond just books. That is
for sure,
social media in a nutshell.
That's human nature.
Yeah, human nature.
So I think that a lot of times when you might say something like, I'm not really interested in reading Jane Austen, I think it's difficult for some people to not take that personally, even maybe just on a subconscious level.
Right.
Because that author holds a certain position in their mind and that they don't feel validated or they feel dismissed. Even though somebody in the book club had mentioned The Talented Mr. Ripley, and someone said, oh, you should still read that, even though Tony was dismissive of it on the podcast recently. And I said, absolutely no one should be making their reading decisions based on my personal interest level in a book I haven't read.
Totally. I agree with that. Like
just because you might not ever read Jane Austen doesn't mean that it's not worth reading or somebody shouldn't read it.
Right. And
if you had read it and you said, I didn't like it because X, Y, and Z, then you could maybe consider that in your own choice to read it or not. But
right. And like I definitely ham it up a little bit. Like I know I can be kind of a pretentious snob sometimes. And kind of am, to be frank, but like and you kind of lean into it as a little bit like, oh, I don't want to read Jane Austen, so like why the f is she on this list? But like and I kind of try to walk it back a little bit in some of these responses to some of the more critical comments we got last week of what like, no, like she's worthy to be on the list.
Yeah, for sure.
My beef with the list was that there were 5 Jane Austen books, everything Virginia Woolf ever had published.
Yeah.
Like that was my beef with the list. But
it was partly due to how they curated the list.
Yeah.
Because I guess I haven't been able to find it, but some people have mentioned that you can go and see who nominated what.
Yeah.
And so there were multiple people that actually had Gravity's Rainbow.
I heard that as well.
But I think the threshold was at least 20 people had to nominate it for it to make it to the top 100.
I don't care enough about the list to go and look at how the individual people voted. But
yeah.
All All right, enough about other people's lists. Do you have more disclaimers that you want to add?
My only real disclaimer is that this is not me saying that I think these are the 50 best books.
Yeah.
These might not even be the 50 best books that I've read, because there are certainly books that I've read that I thought this was a masterpiece of art.
Yeah.
I just didn't really love it.
Totally.
And so for me, this list is really just like books that I either really loved the reading experience or still occupy a good amount of space in my memory.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like I also think, like, I was joking with someone. I was actually with Kevin last night or this morning. Like, it is harder than you would think to make a list of 50.
Yes.
It's hard to make a list of 10 because you have to be very succinct, or in the sense of like we're doing like our top 10 all time, right?
Yeah.
Like that's hard because you have to be very succinct.
Yeah.
It's hard to do 50 because like at a certain point I'm not necessarily just like filler. Like I don't want to say like I picked this book so I could get to 48,
Right.
or to round out the list. But like I kind of joked about this when we were talking about The Road last week. Like it would probably make it to my list out of like decision fatigue alone. And like I made an initial list Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and actually reordered it into 50 this morning and did some editing. But like I'm sure I changed a book out on the way over here.
Okay.
I'm sure on the way home, like I'm gonna be like, oh, I should have put that. That's another great book I should have talked about. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to do 50 because like, I don't know, realistically, like I probably had like 5 honorable mentions. If I really sat down to like think about it, I'd come up with 5 more.
Yeah.
Like I remember,
it's also very difficult to put them in like any sort of order.
So that's what I would like 1 through 10. I think that is like, I'm happy with the order
Same.
that I put them in. Like
it gets fuzzy after that.
It gets fuzzy. So like 50 through 41. I think those 10 would stay those 10, but the order is negotiable.
Yeah.
The same thing with every grouping of 10
Yeah.
between 50 and 10. Like the 20s are set. The 30s are set. The 40s are set. But like you could adjust the order.
You could swap out 38 with 32. And
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, and that got to a point too where I was just like, I don't know, like, does it really matter? At a certain point, like, is 39 really that much better than 48 on my list? Like, but all right.
Should we get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So starting off with number 50, Andy, what do you got?
Number 50, I have got Trout Fishing in America by Richard Brautigan.
Okay.
That was one that, like, obviously we did a whole episode on it. We discussed more discussion than I ever thought that I would give Trout Fishing in America.
Sure.
And I wouldn't say that I was ever like a hater of it, of Brautigan in general.
Yeah.
But certainly, like, there was a period. We might not even. Well, no, we would have been doing the pod. But like, Brautigan was everywhere on Instagram, and so I got kind of swept up in it, and I was like, I don't get it. Like, it's fun, and I like it, but I don't get it. And I still feel that way about some of his books, and maybe him in general. But like you kind of messaged me, and this is what got me to reread Trout Fishing in the first place. Was like, you were like, this might be a work of genius.
Yeah.
And after we like actually took some time to talk about it, and like I reread it with a lens of like, this is going to be a thing that I'm going to have to talk about for an hour.
Yeah, that changes how you read sometimes.
And it was like, okay, this is a great book.
Yeah.
This is a really good book. So, and I think to kind of lean on this idea of like obscure books that no one's ever heard of, he is definitely part of that like beatnik ideology and assemblage of authors.
Yeah.
But not really one that ever gets talked about. So
yeah,
he's like, I think maybe to some degree, like your favorite beatnik's favorite beatnik.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was certainly a very influential author in his time in American literature. So I came very close to actually putting the Hawkline Monster on my
Oh, really?
list today,
Okay.
but it did not make it. Okay, so as some people might know, that I predominantly used to read nonfiction. So, of course, I had to include some nonfiction on today's list.
Totally.
So this is not just novels. So my number 50 pick is actually a work of philosophy, The Trouble with Being Born by Emil Cioran.
Interesting.
Yeah. Certainly not the type of book that you just want to like sit down and read.
Right.
You kind of peck at it, I guess. And it's more or less a bunch of like just small ideas.
Aphorisms.
Yeah. I don't know. Like some of them are more fleshed out than others. And it's very bleak. Some people think that it shouldn't be taken seriously. It was kind of a troll job. But I just thought it was an incredibly moving book and gave me a lot to chew on. And it's something that I still pick up every once in a while, although it's been a little bit. And I'll just like flip it open to a random page and just like read a few pages of it.
Interesting.
Very nihilistic. He's well known for being a nihilist.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I that is a book that really early on like impacted the way I think, and so I had to put it on the list.
Right on.
So, what do you got at 49?
49, I have got Grimish by Michael Winkler.
Okay. Is that the one about the boxer?
Yes.
Okay.
I've talked about it on the pod before. It's largely about a real boxer, Joe Grimm, I believe his name was. I know the last name was definitely Grimm, who was notorious for his ability to take a beating. His win-loss record is abysmal. And there are records that he went and did a tour of and a string of fights in Australia at the beginning of the 20th century. But other than like written record that he was there, there's not much actually recorded about what his time in Australia was like. So it's kind of a frame narrative. It's either, I can't remember off the top of my head, it's either a grandfather or an uncle telling grandson or nephew, like kind of the oral history of this boxer, Joe Grimm, in Australia. And it's very funny and really well written. So I think I've talked about it before as like a top book from this century. So definitely one that came to mind. And it's not very long either. So.
And who published that?
Don't know off the top of my head, because I know there are a couple different editions out, because the best of my knowledge, Winkler is an Australian author. So when it was first published, whatever publishing house it was like Australia and UK only.
Gotcha.
So whatever edition is out that I have is like the US edition. Let me see if I can look it up. But yeah, that's 50 for me. So or excuse me,
49. Yeah,
49.
My 49th spot is The Long Ships by Franz G. Bengtson, translated by Michael Meyer. So this is a book about Vikings. It's basically just like a good time. It was originally published, I want to say, in three parts, and then NYRB put it out as just a single book.
Yeah.
But Bengtson said in an interview, like someone asked him, like, "What's it all about? Like, what's the meaning?" And he was just like, "I just wanted to write like a fun story, man."
Hell yeah.
And I think,
Hell yeah.
I mean, we read a lot of serious books.
Yeah.
Even if they're satirical, they're still usually tackling serious themes.
Yeah.
And that's just a book that's like easy to read, fun to read. It's a good story, kind of keeps you engaged, and you get to pat yourself on the back because it's translated. And it's just like a good time.
Yeah.
And when I read it, I was like, yeah, this is good. But it's one of those books I just find myself recommending to people a lot. So I was like, I talk about this book so much, I have to put it in my top 50.
It's good to have books like that like you can just kind of recommend to anyone.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard. Like obviously, again, we read a lot of weirder, obscure stuff to some degree, some avant-garde and some transgressive stuff. Like it's so hard. Like someone at work is like, "Oh, I know you like to read a lot, and you have a pocket. Like, so I read. Like, am I going to turn around and recommend Volman?
Right. Probably not.
Probably not.
Hopefully not.
I mean, maybe I will.
I mean, Volman's great, but yeah.
Yes, but like you got to know
Yeah.
the person you're recommending to, and it's nice to have books that I'm like, yep,
yeah,
you should read this.
Normie's asking me for book recommendations is like my worst nightmare. I've made some videos like making fun of this idea, but inevitably I end up in a social situation where somebody's like, "Oh, I heard you are like a book influencer." And I'm like, "Oh yeah," and they're like, "Have you read this?" And it's like, "Nope." "Have you read this?" "Nope." "Have you read this?" Because it's all the stuff that reaches the eyes of somebody that's not
right. Have you read Fourth Wing?
Yeah, Fourth Wing or James Patterson or Jordan Peterson's book. So, yeah.
I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
All right. Number 48 for me, Watchmen by Alan Moore.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Had
to get a graphic novel on there.
Nice.
It was a great book. It was really cool. Very interesting story, very compelling characters. Certainly with that kind of graphic novel, comic book style, like you don't have the long-winded, very verbose prose that you might find in a lot of other authors that I'm going to talk about today, but definitely was like well written and compelling and had some parts of it that were like, I wouldn't even say campy, but kind of had that like a little bit of like a comic book vibe, but it wasn't like Avengers schlock where you're like, let me break the fourth wall and say some joke, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, like a very compelling narrative, very, very interesting ideas. It's had some great adaptations. There's a limited series on HBO. It's fantastic. The movie's pretty good.
Yeah, I saw the movie when it came out, but that was quite a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Should probably rewatch it.
I think I went limited series.
Yep.
Book, then movie. Which kind of coincidence, not really any intention behind that.
Are all three of them like the same story, or are they just the same universe?
I would say the movie is a more of a direct adaptation of the novel.
Okay.
And then the TV show definitely has a lot of the same character. Like Dr. Manhattan is a big deal in the show. It is not direct one-to-one narrative.
Gotcha.
It's been a minute since I've seen the show, and then between watching the show, reading the book. So like I think there are some things that kind of carried over, and some general stuff that like kind of I think they both kind of conclude in similar ways.
Yeah.
But I think it's a sort of a retelling. But if someone in the comments has seen, read, whatever, engaged with any of the three more recently than I have, please sound off.
Cool.
48 for you.
48 is another nonfiction, Last Boat Out of Shanghai by Helen Zia. So one of the reasons why I love this book so much, it's about four families during the transition between the nationalists and the communists in China. And then it follows the four families over the next 50 or so years and kind of shows the long-term impact that had on these people. And each family was kind of, so I think if I remember correctly, it was like two of the families were a little bit more pro-communist and two were pro-nationalist, but on each family was of like a different kind of like economic class.
Yeah.
And just a really good example of narrative nonfiction, like a book that I think fiction readers would really like, and just a really well-written story with a pretty mind-blowing ending, to be honest, which you wouldn't expect from a book like that. And I've kind of like looked for other books that fit the same bill as that kind of like tell the same type of story. Not necessarily about China, but just like that use of storytelling in nonfiction in such a grand scope. And I really haven't come across anything as of yet. I mean, I'm sure there's something out there, but again, just another book that I like think about all the time. So
right on.
Yeah.
47, Dune by Frank Herbert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I read this one last year. It's funny. I started to read it when I was reading it. My now girlfriend and I were just starting to get to know each other, and it is one of her favorites. So I was like, I'm going to read this book. And
so you did it to impress a woman.
Yes,
gotcha.
Like all great endeavors, it was mostly to impress a woman.
Okay, better than going to war, I suppose.
Yes, for sure. And I couldn't put it down. I read it in like a week. And that was because of my own enjoyment. Like I wasn't like I got to speed read this to talk to her, but like I was like I started it, but then I like couldn't put it down.
Yeah, you also tried to read The Count of Monte Cristo to impress her, and you didn't finish it. So,
all right. But that was like I was reading like multiple books at once, and that was also around the time the tumor I think was starting to pick up. I'm going to blame the tumor.
That's fair.
But yeah, I thought the narrative was really great. Not the like, as far as writing quality goes, like the prose itself on a sentence to sentence level, not the best thing I've ever read, but like still well written and compelling. I've talked about it kind of before, like there are definitely passages that like I was able to connect to emotionally, things that like I remember like Paul experiencing that, even though like I hadn't been through the exact same scenario, like had experienced similar emotions to what he was going through. So like that's always a good connection to a book.
Yeah.
Certainly leaves you a lot to think about. So like I've kind of talked about like those are two of my big markers. Like if it can move you emotionally and give you something to like concrete to like latch onto and think about, then like that's a really good book. So to your point about The Long Ships, one that's a little bit more easy to recommend.
Yeah, it certainly has. I think so much about like enjoying a book or even actually deciding to read a book is kind of how you are primed for it. And being that it is, the films are out now and it's just much more in the conversation for people, even if they're not big readers. Like that's the type of book that someone who's not really a reader would go to the movies, see it and go, oh, I want to read that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Obviously it's known that I didn't love Dune, but you can't argue how influential it was.
Yeah. And like I said, like I the book that I enjoyed enough to put on this list, but like I'm not over the moon about it. I'm not a full on Dooner. Like it's not going to be in my top 10. Yeah.
I think one thing that doing this kind of made me realize is that there are a lot of books that I'm like, yeah, that was good, but like, is it like a top 50?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. And like, here's the thing too, of like, to kind of what we said earlier, like this is my list. These are books that I've read.
Right.
Like, I think if you go to like pretty much any top 100 list, like a thing like a book like Ulysses is probably going to be on it. I have not read Ulysses. Like this isn't me being like, oh, I think Trout Fishing in America is better than Ulysses.
Right.
I put Brodkin on my list over James Joyce. I've only read one James Joyce. I didn't really care for it. It's not on my list.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Moving on.
What are we on? 47? So
yes.
My 47th pick is Natural Causes by Nina Like, translated by B.L. Crook. This is a book that I've talked about quite a bit on the show, but
I don't have any open letter on my list.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have two.
Wow. I'm sorry, Chad.
For those that aren't familiar with it, it's a book about a primary care physician. She's been in her job for a number of years, been married for a long time. She's kind of burnt out on both. I think this book made my list because there were so many things in it that I connected with because I've gone through something so similar to some of the stuff that's described in the book. It's quite funny, and I would totally understand on this one if somebody read it and was like, why is this in Tony's top 50? Like, it's not, I don't think anyone's going to read it and be like, this book sucks.
Yeah.
But I would understand why somebody would say, this wouldn't make my top 50, which I totally appreciate, but it's a book that I think about all the time. I'll probably reread. I've recommended it to so many people I know that work in medicine.
Yeah.
So I think it's, if you have ever gone through, something medically challenging or you work in healthcare, I think it's worth a read.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really directly about that. So, what do you have at 46?
46, I have The Case of Gem by Vera Mudashiva.
Nice.
So, Bulgarian.
Turkish? Oh,
Bulgarian. It was originally published in Bulgaria in the 70s, I believe. Recently was translated into English, but it's set in the late 15th century during a transition of power in the Ottoman Empire.
Oh, cool.
With the Sultan dies, and he has two sons, and based on the traditions of the time, the eldest is the rightful heir. And there are a sect of people that believe, due to lineage, the younger son of the two should actually be the rightful heir.
Mm.
And he kind of turns into this political pawn. The younger of the two is turned into this like political pawn of just kind of like being moved around from country to country so that they can like make deals, and then like, oh, we'll return you and we'll make you help you kind of become the true sultan of the Ottoman Empire, and in return, like, you're going to do this for Hungary or whatever. Like, this country's going to do this to help you get into power. And it's written almost like a not quite diary entries, because I think they're almost more of like testimonials.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure off the top of my head, but like, I think it's kind of like different, a larger cast of characters kind of remembering the events of the narrative, kind of after the fact. But very interesting story. I think one of the more true historical fictions that I've read. And yeah,
cool
book. I don't think I've read anything else from Bulgaria. Certainly have not read or at least encountered much that has to do with the Ottoman Empire in general. So it was a very interesting story.
Yeah, Ottoman Empire was wild, dude.
Yeah,
they had a good run too. They were around for a long time. All right, so number 46 for me is pretty much as far away from that as you can get. It's Train Dreams by Dennis Johnson.
Oh, okay, cool.
Do you have this on your list?
No.
Okay.
I have other Johnsons.
Okay.
But that's as far as I'll say for now.
Yeah. So it's weird. Like, I kind of had this debate with myself. Like, should I put novellas on here? Are they worthy of being in my top 50? And I think just the impact per page count in this book is great.
I think if a novella is good, it's like absolutely worth being on a list like this. I mean, like, we've talked about it before in general when we've done like short book rankings. Like, sometimes the ability to take like I love a good doorstopper, but like sometimes if you can take 100 pages and just like pack so much into it. Like, we kind of skipped the weekly recap this week, but like, I've been on a huge Cesar Ira kick. I think the longest book of his that I've read is Fulgentius, which is like 180 pages, maybe. I just finished one book that the length of the book itself was 80 pages, but it's two novellas in one collection. Like, most of what I've read from him is like 120 pages max. He's got one book out that's like a little over 200.
That's his longest one.
I think that's his longest one. Like, everything else is like 150 max. And they've all been like really fun. Like, they're good novels. They're a fun, wild ride, but they're also good books.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to Train Dreams.
Yeah, Train Dreams. I mean, it's very emotionally charged. It's got some beautiful writing. Makes you feel like you are there, I think.
Yeah.
In this kind of turn of the century or early 20th century Midwest, West, Northwest era.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the saddest books I think I've ever read.
Very sad. And I think like, I don't think I would go so far as to say the movie is better than the book.
I definitely wouldn't, but okay.
But like, I think the movie, like a lot of times when there's a film adaptation made, like I think there's usually a pretty good gap between the quality of the book. I generally think the book is better. The movie's not as good.
Yeah.
But I think there's usually like, I usually feel like there's like a sizable gap in terms of the quality. And maybe for me, like a lot of this is, I'm going to say a lot of this is influenced by the cinematography of the movie because it's so beautiful.
It is one of the best looking films. I mean, it's probably in the top 3 of the last 10 years, I would say.
Like, I think for me, like the movie is very close to the book. I would still say the book is better.
Yeah.
I think for me, having read the book and then seen the movie, I would like to go back and reread the book.
Yeah.
Especially because it can be read in a day. But like there were, just like seeing some of the kind of scenes recreate and passages recreated on the screen, like where the cinematography really highlights like how alone he is in the woods.
Yeah.
I think like that increased my appreciation for the book.
Yeah. The color, the composition of the cinematography is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Visually, it is an incredible movie. I think my big problem with the film is that there's like this idea that books, and like if you're going to make a film adaptation, it should be loyal to the book, and the more loyal to the book it is, the better it is. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that you have to respect that books and movies are different mediums.
Yeah.
And I think that there are some choices that they made to try to keep it true to the book that were not smart for film. And I think there's some elements that they decided to abandon for the movie that I'm like, there was no reason for that. You could have kept this true to the book. So that's a whole conversation for another day.
Yeah.
So what are we on? 46? 45.
45. We are. It's going to be a long episode.
Yeah, we got to pick up the pace here.
Okay. 45, The Garden by Aidan Scott.
Nice.
Really well written. I think it's important to highlight books like that because small press, very small press. As far as like wide readership, relatively unknown author. Really well written book. So I'll just keep it at that so we can keep the pace going.
Yeah. My number 45 spot is Pachinko by Min-Jin Lee. This is a book that I've grown an appreciation for over time because when I read it, I was like, yeah, that was good. It felt a little bit too similar to The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. But honestly, as time's gone on, I've found myself thinking about Pachinko more than the other.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't need to say too much more about it. It's very popular.
Number 44, Riding Towards Everywhere by William T. Vollmann.
Nice.
So
some nonfiction. I'm shocked, honestly.
Not the last.
Wow. Okay. I'm more surprised by that than there being women on the list.
Not many of those either. Really, really well written book. Vollmann. We've talked about him extensively on the pod. Kind of just like throws himself into the life of whatever he's researching. So just a really, really compelling firsthand account of what he's kind of investigating. This idea of just like riding freight trains around the country.
Yeah. Hoboing.
And certainly very thoughtful.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, great book.
Okay. Coming in at number 44 for myself is The Sympathizer by Viet Thanh Nguyen.
Ooh.
Do you have that on your list?
The choice. No, I ended up that one just barely missed the cut.
Nice.
So I could have been on the list for sure. That was, I said at the beginning, like it's hard. It starts off being hard to come up with 50 and the next thing you know, you have 56.
Right.
That was like 52, 53.
Yeah.
I think on my final list.
Yeah, I mean, if you aren't familiar with the book, just
we did a whole episode.
Go watch the episode about it. Yep. What do you got at 43?
I have got The Adventures and Misadventures of Macrol by Alvaro Mutis.
Is that an NYRB?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. To me, it is basically like if this, and this is like a very simplified, but it is like if Borges wrote 100-page novellas.
Oh, cool.
So, and that's
high praise coming from you.
Just fun little stories. So, and certainly like the narratives are compelling, but there's also a lot of like kind of some deeper existential ideas within them. So
cool. So 43 for myself, I have The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Just a book that I'm not big into literature from that era, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's you feel a great sense of accomplishment upon finishing it because it's 1,200 freaking pages.
Totally.
It is. People say that it's an easy novel to read. I don't necessarily agree with that because like the language feels very much of its time, and so at this point, people speak a lot differently now.
I mean, obviously, I didn't finish it, but like, I felt like even though, like you just said, like the language is of its time, it's not the most complex.
No.
Like you certainly, again, because of the kind of a dialect, if you will, like you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to just use that as like you don't have to pay attention to some books, but like it is easier to read than its length lets on.
Yeah. And it's got a cool story. I mean, it's about a guy that's wrongfully imprisoned and
totally
busts out and goes on a kind of like a revenge tour. Almost.
Totally.
All right. What do you got at
42?
42.
I've got The Lost Scrapbook by Evan Dara.
Oh, nice.
Certainly a lot of interesting kind of mystique behind the novel itself. No one knows who Dara is. I have told this story before about kind of how it got published.
Mm-hmm.
I was originally wrong about the author. I thought the manuscript just showed up on William T. Volman's door one day. That was incorrect. It was Richard Powers.
Okay.
That just kind of randomly got sent the manuscript, and then it, got put in the right hands.
Yeah.
But it's this very interesting story where like there's not it's a little over 400 pages. There's not a full stop until the end. And a lot of it is kind of told in like dialogue, and you're not really getting a sense of, you don't really like honestly find out like exactly what happened and like what's driving the narrative until the last like 100 pages. And then just like the way it all comes together is really cool. And it's kind of just this like, I don't even say background noise, but kind of just like what I've talked about with like JR before, of kind of this just like influx of information.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. And then as it kind of comes to a head, like you find out like what is driving all of these conversations and things like that kind of make up the first 2/3 or so of the book.
Nice.
So really interesting novel. I would say for someone that's interested in more modern fiction, definitely worth checking out.
Cool. At number 42, and this was unintentional to have two French authors back to back, but I have Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne.
Oh,
which is super. Have you read this one?
I don't think so.
It's so fun, and it's literally about this like zany scientist guy and his assistant going on a journey to the center of the earth.
I might have read some like abridged version when I was, a kid.
Yeah, it's not that long. Anyway, but that is something that they seem to have done with a lot of his books, is like put out like kid versions of them, which is weird. But it's just a funny book, and interesting like how many things like he kind of got right.
Yeah.
So minor spoiler, but they get closer to the center of the earth and they find these great like gigantic underground lakes, and there's all kinds of weird creatures living in them. And like that turned out to be a thing, not the creatures, but like there are these vast bodies of water in the Earth's interior.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know when that was discovered, but it was long after he wrote this book.
Yeah.
So it's just a classic of French lit. So,
all right. Moving on, number 41, The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas by Rick Harsch.
Oh, nice.
So, fun book, well written. I think Harsch is a great writer. The very least has a very unique style, very unique voice. I think with a lot of, I haven't read a ton of his books. I think I've read 2, maybe 3, but like, I think especially if you've like followed him and seen anything that he's like kind of put out on social media, whether it's like a clip on Instagram or a longer video on YouTube, just have engaged with him in any way. Like you read Eddie Vegas and you're like, yeah, Rick Harsh wrote this.
Yeah.
Cool. So, but very interesting narrative. It's kind of like a trans, kind of trans historical, like multi-generational saga. Kind of the way it like comes together is really, really compelling. And it's just a lot of fun. So, and funny at times. So
trans sounds woke, Andy. All right. Number 4.
You know me.
Yeah. Number 41 for me is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy.
Okay.
Did this make your top 50?
Yes.
Okay. And which spot does it occupy?
26.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, even though I had criticisms of this book,
Yeah.
I often criticize things that I like. It doesn't mean I don't like them. I enjoyed reading it, and I said as much when I did a review of it. I didn't find it as philosophically compelling as many people do. However, it was a book that is well written. I was super engaged with it and read it pretty quickly because I was really enjoying the story and curious to see what was going to happen.
It is one that I would like to go back and reread for sure.
Yeah. I think you would find it a much easier read on the second time.
I probably would. So, but yeah, I mean, I think like I didn't want to just rank books based on their reputation, but I think this one definitely got a boost in my personal ranking. Just like, it's funny. Like, I think I was scrolling the other day, like I saw some memes about it and it was just kind of like talking about like themes and ideas of the book. And like, it is just so interesting and compelling. Like the kind of like this introspective look at violence in America and like how brutal and horrific it was, but to the people enacting it, it was so mundane.
Yeah.
Like it's important to kind of reflect on that. So I think for that alone, like I wanted to make it on the list. So
yeah.
Okay.
So that's the first instance, right, of us having a duplicate. Okay. So there you go. We're not going to hit 100 books. We're going to at best get 99.
At best, yeah.
All right. We're on 40.
40. I have got By Night in Chile by Roberto Bolaño.
Wow. I'm surprised that this is so low on your list.
It's not the only.
I'm sure that it's not.
Bolaño. So again, like I said, like I probably could have put this at 21,
right?
And it wouldn't bat an eye.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I talked about it recently. I don't need to get too into it. Go back a couple episodes. I think it was our Pulitzer episode. It was in my reading recap where I kind of talked a little bit more at length about it. But great book, great little book. A lot of interesting ideas.
Yeah.
So I think similar to what I have said about The Crying of Lot 49 being kind of an amalgamation of a lot of ideas and themes that are spread out over Pynchon's work. The same could be said, maybe not to the same extent, but the same could be said for By Night in Chile.
Yeah.
Just a lot of ideas and themes that are spread out throughout Bolaño's work are in this novel.
Cool.
So,
all right. Number 40 for me is Tinkers by Paul Harding, the Pulitzer Prize winner. And his debut novel. It's I really do consider him like the modern day John Steinbeck. Just the prose and the fact that he focuses on a specific region in most of his books, which is New England.
Yep.
And the fact that he focuses a lot on the downtrodden, much like Steinbeck did.
Yes.
I would say Tinkers is like, in my opinion, it's like a blend between like Steinbeck and maybe Thoreau stylistically.
Totally.
One of my favorite quotes of all time is from that book. You can go watch our favorite quotes episode and hear it there.
Totally.
We'll keep it moving.
All right. What are we on? 39?
39.
39. Oops. 39. America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots by Philip Friedenberg with illustrations by Jeff Walton.
A book that is currently going for hundreds of dollars on the internet.
It's such an insane and unique book. I've said this before regarding other books. Like, I hate to use the descriptor. It's unlike anything I've read before, but there's very little that's like America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots.
Yeah.
Just this kind of like metafictional, experimental work of fiction that just plays with the idea of what a novel can do and how like the novel is a work of art.
Yeah.
And as a thought experiment, if you will. So just a very compelling and interesting book. If you're the person that's like looking for like a straight up cover to cover narrative that runs linearly,
Yeah.
probably not going to like it. There is a narrative within there. Like, it's not this like plotless nothing.
Yeah.
But it's scattered. It's fragmented. It's all over the place. It's zany as hell.
So weird about this. I think I've told you this before, but I know a dude who is very much like your classic, like grind set mindset bro.
Yeah.
Involved in that world. I think he's made a ton of money in like real estate investing. He does read quite a bit, and he does read some fiction. And I think one of his favorite books is actually Infinite Jest. But he's also read Cult of the Cactus Boots.
Oh, cool.
Which is like such a weird book for a guy like that to have even come across, never mind buy and read and love. I think he hosts like a weekly online meeting he calls like the War Room, where like people try to like help each other level up and stuff like that. And I'm like, you're reading a Corona Samizdat publication with this experimental postmodern literature and imagery. It's just so weird to me.
That in its own way is a critique of fascism.
Right.
So
okay, so we are on number 39, correct?
Yes.
I have Passing by Nella Larson.
Okay.
Came out of the Harlem Renaissance. Great story about a woman who is a light-skinned woman of color and is able to pass off as white, and just kind of the complicated situations that creates when and if she does decide to try to pass, because this was written at a time where segregation was still a thing, and interracial marriages were heavily frowned upon. And it's I've said this, if you've heard me talk about this book before, you've heard me say this, but it's worth saying again, which is that book has a thread of anxiety all the way through it that just gives you, it's not a horror novel by any stretch of the imagination, but it is almost horrific because of the social implications, I guess. And I do think it's better than her other novel that has been published, which is called Quicksand. But
cool.
All right.
Number 38, a book I have talked about frequently, Too Much of Life by Clarice Lispector. It's a collection of everything she wrote for weekly column in a newspaper in Brazil. Some of it is just kind of like general musings. Some of it is humorous. Some of it is thoughtful. It's just like I said, everything she wrote for this column for like 6 years.
yeah,
So it's such an interesting book. Like, it's one you could kind of read, stand alone, and work your way through it. It's one that you could read, take a couple weeks, read the year one, put it down for 2 months, pick it back up, like and not really be lost.
It's nonfiction.
Yeah.
Well, a nonfiction book written by a woman. You're doubling up on this one.
You could like leave it on the coffee table, read it here and there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good book to keep in the car, read a couple pages here and there when you're waiting to get your oil changed. But everything that has and can be said about Clarice Lispector in general can be said about this book. So
nice.
It has gotten me out of many a reading slump, or at least significant ones where like I just cannot. I have no interest in reading.
Yeah.
Not even like I'm struggling to find something good that I want to read or is compelling. Like, I just don't have interest in reading. It's kind of pulled me out of those.
Nice.
So when in doubt, read Clarice.
There you go. I'm very curious to read that one because I've read Near to the Wild Heart and Hour of the Star. I liked Hour of the Star. Honestly, I didn't really love Near to the Wild Heart. Just something about her writing just doesn't land with me. So I'm curious to read her nonfiction. I mean, she's clearly a talented writer.
Right.
So, okay, for number 38, I have Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. This book, for as popular as it is, maybe mostly because of its association with the films, I think it's an underrated book.
Yeah.
It's just good. It's fun. It's scary. It's unique, creative. I read it kind of begrudgingly because I'm like, I've seen the film 100 times. It was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I should read the book. And I was really surprised with how good it was. And I was like, Michael Crichton can freaking write.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe similar to The Long Ships, maybe not philosophically or politically as like much of an important book, although it definitely tackles those themes to a degree. But it's just kind of like a fun book to read.
Yeah.
And it's much more of like a thriller rather than like an action like the film is. So
Gotcha.
What do you got at 37?
I have got Troll by David Fitzgerald.
Oh, nice.
Book I've talked about before. Very interesting that is written in the second person perspective.
Yep. Don't see that too often.
I don't see it too often. It's hard to pull off. I think Fitzgerald nails it. Mm-hmm. And it is essentially about a terminally online loser who falls down the trap of internet inceldom. And what I love, it's wildly hilarious. It's so funny. It's such a funny book. And it's very satirical, but what I love about it, like, and I've said this before, like, I think it's those types of people that kind of turn into this like uber misogynistic, hateful creeps. Like, it's very easy to criticize them. And I think in a lot of instances, it is justified criticism. I'm not saying this to defend people like that. But I think what is often overlooked in criticizing them is that, like, because of a lot of the general features of our current culture, especially like internet culture, and how I'll leave it at internet culture. Like, it is so easy to fall down that trap.
Yeah.
It is so easy to be like, go on a bad date, not take any accountability for like the part you played in it being a bad date, see a tweet or Reddit post blaming a woman for something, and then just like become an all-out terminally online woman hater. Like that.
I go look at any content with featuring women sharing their opinions on anything, and you can just look at the comments.
And like, yeah. I think it shines a light on that.
Yeah.
And it, just because of the way that, like, it satirizes that whole culture, like, it definitely does not make the that type of person like a sympathetic character. I think if the wrong reader read this book, they might feel kind of justified in their actions. But I think I'm hopeful that someone with like a functioning brain would be like, oh, like, I get it now.
Yeah.
Like, these people deserve criticism, but like, holy shit, is it easy to end up down this rabbit hole of like, so great book. I think it was recently published. I think I probably included it on my list of best books of the 21st century. If I didn't, I should have. I forget how many books we did. I think we did 5 or 10 each.
Yeah, sounds right.
But like, if we did a longer list, it would definitely be on mine.
Nice.
So,
all right, coming in at number 37, I have After the First Death by Robert Cormier.
Okay.
A YA novel.
YA novel.
This was my favorite growing up. I've read it 3 times, I think.
Nice.
Never as like a full-fledged adult, so I'm going to reread it this year.
Cool.
It's about a group of kids on a school bus that gets taken hostage by terrorists.
Nice.
And I just remember this book having a huge impression on me, and I loved that Robert Cormier was not afraid to tackle a theme like that for a YA novel. I think a lot of his books tackled topics that were very adult, and that's what I loved about him. He was my favorite author when I was a kid. I've read so many of his books, both Chocolate War books, I Am the Cheese, Tunes for Bears to Dance to, just tons of his books. And I loved his writing, and this one just being such a serious topic, I couldn't not put like my favorite book for being a kid on there. So
totally.
What do you got next?
I have got Marshland by Otohiko Kaga.
Oh, wow.
I included it whatever year I read it, and ended up on my favorite books of the year at the end of our year recap.
Yeah.
Certainly, it's a very big book. Similar to what I said about The Count of Monte Cristo, the size of the book implies it is much more difficult.
Yeah.
No,
the writing is very, very straightforward.
Have you read it?
I made it about 300 pages and I put it down because I thought the beginning was very strong, and I thought it was a little bit middling in the middle. And
it definitely slows down a little bit in the middle.
Yeah.
Which I think is a justified critique. I think, in my opinion, like once you get kind of over that hump, a lot of it kind of sets up the character arc.
Yeah.
Like, but is definitely about this relationship between kind of an older, I think he's 50.
Yeah, he's in his 50s.
In his 50s, and like a college student.
Yeah.
And kind of their friendship and how like they're just kind of emotional, their connection and how that develops.
They both figure skate.
But it certainly that middle, that section where it is a little bit middling, it is a little bit slow. There's not really anything significant that happens.
Yeah.
It definitely does, in my opinion, like set up the strength of their relationship, and then how that affects things that happen to them after towards the end of the narrative.
Yeah, both Buddy and Mike Leoto from the book club said that. Buddy said he thought it could have been 400 pages shorter. Mike said 200, and I was like, okay,
400 pages. I'm going to disagree with Buddy on that one. 400 pages is a lot. But
either way, both of them thought it could be a little bit shorter, and I didn't finish it before I started Tom's Crossing, and I was like, I just had to put this down.
Oh, yeah. Right now, so. I couldn't have read it along with something like Tom's Crossing, but I thought it was a very human and humane and compelling novel. Yeah. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Next, I have Fury by Cleo Mendoza. I forget who the translator is on that. I didn't have a chance to write that down. Did this make your list?
No.
Okay. Great book of Mexican literature, contemporary, violent, grotesque, strange, confusing. Could throw maybe a few other descriptors out there, but it's a book that I think about often. I probably want to reread. It's, I don't know. It's like just a good example, I think, of modern Latin American magical realism.
Totally. Yeah, it was a great book. Short one.
Yeah.
Quick read.
Yep.
Could read it in a day. Might be.
It's a little bit confusing to read in a day, but you could.
It's confusing, but also like, I mean, it is a quick read because they're mostly short chapters, but like it is still 200 something pages.
Yeah.
So I don't want to assume that like it might be like an all day. If you have nothing to do,
right,
and you can just sit for hours,
you
could probably read it, but I think it would be kind of confusing. But anyway, yeah, really, really interesting narrative. Certainly dark and violent, like you said, but yeah.
It's hard to even describe what it's about. You just kind of have to read it.
Yeah.
I mean, the book starts with two soldiers from opposing armies firing at each other and then coming together over a dead child's body.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got next?
Angels by Dennis Johnson.
Oh, nice.
So this is his debut novel. I think a pinnacle of what is often labeled as like grit lit.
Mm-hmm.
You have these two characters from kind of running from things. One of them trying to kind of get maybe more of a criminal life. The other trying to run from a relationship and kind of getting, becoming friends and kind of teaming up and kind of riding the buses together. But very well written, certainly emotionally charged, but overall like a tough read in the sense of like, it's like getting punched in the gut at times.
Right.
But very, very dark, kind of exploring the underbelly of America, if you will.
Yeah. Cool. So. All right. Coming in at number 35. That's what we're on, right?
Yes.
Europe Central by Willem T. Volman.
Cool.
Great historical fiction, World War II. Brilliant use of narrative voices in that book.
Agreed.
What I loved about it is you get basically no American perspective. It's all Russian or German. Some of my favorite chapters of books of all time are in that. Breakout, Clean Hands, The Last Field Marshal. Those 3 chapters in particular are incredible. And then there's that one short but really zany chapter later in the book. I'm blanking on what it's called. We did a whole podcast episode about that one as well. So you can go watch it.
Yeah.
Did Europe Central make your list?
No.
Oh, surprising.
But one of the things that I would say to kind of echo your point about, like, I've said this before about other Volmans, like just the way he has the ability to make like a Nazi field marshal kind of I wouldn't even say sympathetic, but like that, because that's a bit of a stretch, but like you see the human side of like I've said this before, like he just has a way of giving his characters dignity.
Yeah.
And without, like, you still come away with it like this was an evil person. This was a straight up Nazi.
Yeah.
But it adds some dignity and kind of strips away some of the black and white. It adds a little bit of complexity to,
if not dignity, complexity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that Nazis deserve dignity, but for sure he said in an interview or a speech that the job of a writer, he thinks, is to understand the other.
Totally.
And he does that in his books.
Effort is clear across everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 34 for me, The Instructions by Adam Levine.
Nice.
A book I have talked about at length, but very emotional, very thoughtful, very funny, imaginative, very well written. I think kind of the easiest way to kind of give it a quick comparison that maybe isn't wholly accurate, but in the vein of what I did with McCroll, it's kind of like Infinite Jest meets JR.
Wow. Okay. That's a book that quite a few people in the book club have read and pretty much universal acclaim.
Yeah, it's a great book, I think. And like other books, like we've talked about this in the past. I don't remember if it was in a specific episode, probably, whatever, doesn't matter. We've talked about how like some books feel of their time, and how like Tree of Smoke by Dennis Johnson, that was written in the 21st century. You could tell me that book was written in the 80s and I would believe you.
Yeah, same.
The Instructions came out in 2010, 2011. Very clearly came out. It's a 21st century novel.
Yeah,
for sure. Like no part of me is like, oh, that book came out in the 80s. Like it just has that kind of like modern feel to it.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, certainly the fact that they're like long chapters that are email exchanges helps, but like just the style in general.
Yeah.
And the voice is very modern in a good way.
Yeah. All right. My number 34 pick is Heart of a Dog by Bulgakov.
Right on.
I know you didn't love this one, but short, fun satire about a guy that turns a dog into a person.
Yeah.
And which I think it's just written so cleverly. And I enjoyed the heavy satire tone, satirical tone of it.
Totally.
The only Bulgakov I've read, obviously The Master and the Margaritas is big one, which I will get to eventually, but I still have to pick out the right translation because I've heard some strong opinions about the various translations of it. So what do you got at 33?
33, I've got The Passion According to G.H. by Clarice Lispector.
Nice.
Final book written by a woman. So 30 from here on out, it is all men.
Okay. Thanks for the heads up, I guess.
Yeah, fantastic book. Fantastic book. Again, same thing I said earlier. Like everything, I've said this, talked about this book at length. I am obviously a huge fan of Lispector and her writing. I think this is such a good, is probably her most famous book or most well known. I think for good reason. I think it really captures a lot of the essence of what of themes that transcend her work, or excuse me, extend across all of her work. To kind of give it a succinct synopsis, it is about a woman who kills a cockroach, and by slamming a wardrobe door and essentially cutting the cockroach in half. And when she opens the door to confirm the kill, if you will, she sees the cockroach is cut in half, and all of the innards of the cockroach kind of oozing out, which on the surface is kind of disgusting imagery, but she has this existential metaphysical crisis of if this is what's inside of a cockroach, what is inside me?
Yeah.
And it extends beyond just guts and intestines and organs, and like I said, kind of goes into that metaphysical thoughts and ideas and what is my purpose. So
cool.
Great book.
All right, we're on what number? 33?
33.
I have Cigarettes by Harry Matthews.
Right on.
Very odd book. So there's 14 chapters, I think, something like that, and each chapter is two people's names, and each name appears in at least twice throughout the chapters. And it's a cool book because at the beginning, there's a lot thrown at you with these characters, and you're like, I don't really know what's going on, how this all relates. And then by the end, you kind of realize he's written this very complex web of a story.
Interesting.
And I thought it was just brilliant. Yeah, and he was part of a writing group. I'm totally blanking on what they were called, but they were very experimental, and they would do set all kinds of weird parameters for themselves to try to write these books. And I have no idea if it's stylistically similar to his other works.
Oulipo.
Oulipo, thank you. What did it stood for something, didn't it?
So it is short for French. The full thing is French.
Yeah.
But roughly translates to Workshop of Potential Literature.
There you go. Yeah, so I definitely want to read more about him, but that's the only book from him that I've read.
Yeah.
And based on that, it feels like he is a very kind of underappreciated author. So
wild.
Yeah. He's written some pretty crazy books. There's a book about him. It was believed for a long time that he was a member of the CIA, and he wrote a book basically trolling people about that. So
real quick tangent, just because I quickly Googled it to confirm that's the name of the group.
Yeah.
And obviously they have techniques and things like that. One of their formal rules for writing was the N+7 method.
Yes.
Replacing every substantive noun in an existing text with the noun found exactly 7 entries after it in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I remember reading about that and just being like, okay. I mean, sure. Yeah.
Why not? Whatever.
They made it work, I guess.
Everything's made up and the points don't matter.
That's right.
Why not? Number 32, Septology by Jan Bus.
Wow.
I read this book. It's a great book for sure. My enjoyment of it, I think, was heightened by the context in which I read it. While I was at home quarantined with COVID.
Okay.
And basically just lived in the library, and just it's difficult in the sense that it doesn't come to a full stop until it's 700 something pages. So the end of the book is the first period, even book to book. There's book 1 doesn't have a full stop.
Wow.
And it's very repetitive. There's overall, there's not a lot of punctuation.
You're not really selling me on it, to be honest.
I know, but it ends up it flows very well. It does have unlike some other books that don't have like stops or much punctuation at all, like where it can be kind of difficult to like suss out like what is happening, things like I think it's intuitive. You can kind of like get a rhythm of everything.
Yeah.
The actual prose itself is not very complex. Very interesting story about kind of doppelgangers and the different ways your life can go. But overall, it just kind of has this like haunting feel to it.
Nice.
So I loved it. Certainly one of the 50 best books I've ever read. So,
well, he is a Nobel Prize winner, so understandable. All right, coming at number 32. Actually, my next two picks are maybe slightly recency bias, but The Man with the Golden Arm by Nelson Algren.
Nice.
We're gonna
just missed the cut.
Yeah. I still would like to do a podcast episode about this in the future, so I won't go too in depth.
We better do that soon, otherwise I'm going to forget.
Yeah. What I will say about this is a book. It was the first book to win the National Book Award. And this is a book that you read and it makes you think, wow, writing used to be better.
You totally.
It's not an easy book. And
no.
Algren really grinds the reader to dust in that book in a number of ways. It is one of the most bleak, depressing books I've ever read in my life.
Totally.
And it's also got some of the most brilliant prose, I think.
Agreed.
And he uses them with great effect because he uses them sparingly.
Yeah.
But it is, it's a book that really transports you to a different time and place very well. You just feel like what it was like to be a down and out drug addict in Chicago in the 1940s and 50s.
Totally.
So, I'll leave it at that.
Number 31, Solenoid by Mircea Cartarescu.
Nice.
Really interesting book. Goes back to, it's presented in a different way, but kind of plays off of a similar idea as what I said about septology, just like the different ways your life can go and kind of the butterfly effect. And certainly very beautifully written. Cartarescu is a fantastic writer. So great book.
Cool.
I'll leave it at that for time's sake.
So at number 31, I have The Stone Face by William Gardner Smith, another book I read this year. He was an author from the U.S. that spent a lot of time in France, and this is an NYRB publication. And in this book, the protagonist is leaves the U.S. to escape racism. He's black. And he moves to France, where at the time there was a lot of conflict between the French and the Algerian immigrants. And there France was considered very progressive because a black man such as himself was not treated poorly, but instead they're treating the Algerians poorly.
Right.
And so it's a very unique way to structure like the topic of racism, because now you have somebody that was previously very much under the thumb of racism, and now he gets to be kind of more of an outside observer of it.
Yeah.
So it's a cool book, really well written, very underappreciated in my opinion. I think I'd mentioned this before, but I went to read or look into some more critique or conversation around this book, and I basically found just one video on YouTube about it.
Oh, wow.
Which was great. It had a few people involved in academia talking about the book, and it was very insightful, but very underappreciated in my opinion. So
right on.
All right, we are into the this is
No, we're into the 30s.
Okay.
Number 30 for me, The Crying of Lot 49 by Thomas Pynchon.
Surprised it's this far down the list.
Well, much like I said about Volman, I believe, or someone else, it won't be the last. So
Okay.
I said this about Bolaño, so it won't be the last.
Okay.
So, I mean, great book. I have talked about at length. I don't need to say a ton. I mentioned earlier that I think it's it's a great place to start for Pynchon. And it's a great work to go back to because, like I said earlier, I think to some extent it is kind of an amalgamation of so many different themes and ideas that he explores throughout his works, at least up through a work like Gravity's Rainbow. Like, it is one that's always good to go back to. I mean, have a tattoo of it, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
It's a great book. Just this kind of idea of paranoia and the systems of control, things like that. I think this idea of how of the main character Oedipa Maas like kind of has this just a question herself is like, am I paranoid because there's actually a thing going on and that like there's a conspiracy that I've uncovered, or am I paranoid because I'm looking for a conspiracy and like my environment has created the characteristics that lead to paranoia?
Yeah.
So, but a phenomenal book. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it was close to making my list, but did not. Okay, so for me at number 30, I have Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer.
Right on.
I don't read much science fiction, but this is a science fiction book that I really liked. It's a book that I still think about a lot, and it's one of the few books that gave me a very visceral response while I was reading it. Like, it makes your palms sweat.
Totally.
He does a great job of writing this anxiety and stress that kind of hangs over you, and this just fear of like something is amiss around the next corner, and what is it going to be?
Excuse me.
Was turned into a film. Film's kind of okay-ish. And then he also has, I think there's now 4 books total in the series, but that's the only one that I've read. I actually think you would like it.
Cool.
So, all right. We're into the 20s, right?
Yes. 29, Baron Vankheim's Homecoming by Laszlo Krasznahorkai.
Nice.
I've talked about this book at length. I think it has a lot of the classic Krasznahorkai features, you know, kind of this anxiety and tension filled book, kind of exploring the entropic and apocalyptic nature of the universe. But in my opinion, Krasznahorkai's funniest book. So I definitely, this kind of layer of absurdity kind of exists in most of his books, all of his books, honestly. But I think this is where it's most prevalent and definitely is kind of dark and macabre. So, but fantastic book. So,
yeah, it's I've only read Melancholy of Resistance, which I had a kind of love-hate relationship with. But that is probably the next Krasznahorkai book that I'm going to read. All right. So I just want to look something up really quick.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent. I mean, I've said this before, like at the end of the day, like life is short. Read whatever you want to read. Like if you're super interested in this book, like just go ahead and read it. Unless it's a narrative thing, like you can kind of ignore if someone tells you to read things sequentially.
Yeah.
But like, and for you, it doesn't really matter since you skipped Satan Tango and went to Melancholy. But like, I'm a huge fan of, or I'm a huge advocate of reading the Apocalypse Quartet in order.
Okay. Yeah.
I just think it adds a layer to it. It adds, cause like it's a, the thematic tetralogy, if you will. Like he kind of like, there's Easter eggs that kind of reference like other towns and characters that existed in the other, the previous novels. But like just the themes and ideas that kind of compound and grow off of each other.
Yeah.
I think if you've read, like, I think you will enjoy Vankheim's Homecoming as a standalone thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you've read the prior 3, like as a culmination of ideas, I think it really adds to the experience.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even though I didn't like necessarily love Melancholy, he just seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
Krasznahorkai.
I think you would really love Satan Tango.
Okay. I have it, so I'll probably get to it eventually. All right. What number are we on?
29.
29. Coming in at number 29 is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Naya Marie Eit.
Okay.
And translated by K.E. Semmel. We read this last year for the book club. It's published by Open Letter. This was a book that when I started reading it, I was like, what the is this trash? Like, I did not like it. And then the book really grew on me. and it's a book I think about all the time. But I think more than anything, the reason why I ranked it so highly is like the probably week after I finished reading that book, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I would go to sleep thinking about it. I would wake up thinking about it. I just felt like emotionally disturbed by it.
Wow.
And it's not even that, I mean, there's some heavy stuff in it, but it's not like it's by no means the most bleak or violent book on the list today that we've talked about.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't even hold a candle to something like Blood Meridian. But, just a book that like really deeply affected me for some reason when it was done. And I was like, wow, this lady's actually quite genius. And she is a good writer, the way she kind of crafted the story. It's purposely, she's Danish, but it's purposely written in a way that you're not like, oh yeah, this is clearly taking place in Denmark. And she even said in an interview, like it's meant to be that it could be kind of any city in the world. And it's just about this, the situation where this guy dies and his adult children are kind of dealing with the fallout of his death. And they didn't have a great relationship with him, and he was in prison, and just like the complicated like family dynamic that it creates, which is like something that on its surface, like I would be like, I'm not interested in this book.
Yeah.
But I ended up really, really liking it. So, all right. What do you got next?
28, Same Bed, Different Dreams by Ed Park.
Nice.
I don't have to spend too much time saying much. We did a whole episode. We did 2 episodes about it, right? Well, we did the book, and then if you consider the interview with Ed, that's 2 episodes. So,
and I should mention you weren't there for it, but Mike and I interviewed Kate Semmel, the translator for Rock Paper Scissors. So
right,
lots of podcast content for you guys to go watch about these books.
Yeah, so fantastic book. I will leave it at that.
Nice. Okay, next I have Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut.
Right on.
Is this on your list?
It is on my list.
Okay. Which number is it for you? Is it in your top 10?
No.
Okay.
It is top 20 though.
Okay.
So I'll leave it at that.
Obviously Kurt Vonnegut, what can we say?
Right. What are we going to add to the conversation about Vonnegut?
Yeah. And it's been long enough ago that I've read it that I can't at this moment give you something like in depth or new to think about.
I think like a couple, like there's 2 kind of passages that like have always come back to me. Cause I read this while I was recovering from surgery. And certainly like I've talked about this before with my experience. Like I read it once the first time when I was like 19 or 20. And it's a good book, but like if you don't have much life experience, some of the kind of profoundness of it is a little bit lost on you.
Right.
You kind of have to have an appreciation for the fragility of life, I think.
Yeah.
And certainly having like more life experience and then also having gone through a major medical crisis, like really kind of did both of those things like lended themselves to what I just said about you have to have an understanding for at a certain point, like it's one of those books that like once you realize you're not invincible,
right,
it really has an effect on you.
I would agree with that.
So, but just taking Vonnegut does a fantastic job of just taking something like as horrific and brutal and serious as war and making a fun story out of it in a way that shines light on how horrific and serious and bad and brutal something like war is.
Yeah.
So leave it at that.
All right. What do you got next?
Number 27, Pay As You Go by Escor David Johnson.
Wow. I'm surprised you ranked this higher than Same Bed, Different Dreams.
So it's one, like, honestly, you could have flip-flopped the 2 of them back and forth. I feel like we've talked about this before. I forget when it came up, but like at a certain point, like I started talking about Pay As You Go a little bit more frequently. I wouldn't even say like more favorably because I love both of them. But my preference of the 2 kind of flipped. And I think for as good as Same Bed, Different Dreams is, Pay As You Go itself is a little bit more relevant to the life of the average person in the 21st century.
Yeah.
So I think that alone makes it stand out a little bit more.
Yeah. We have a whole episode about that interview with Escort David Johnson.
And that is not a knock towards Ed in any way.
Sure, yeah.
But like the idea of like struggling to pay your rent is like the main point of pay as you go.
Right.
And it's a problem that thousands, if not millions of people struggle with in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like the idea of a secret Korean government, super compelling.
Yeah.
Is not really relevant to an experience that I've dealt with in my life.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool.
What number are we on?
27.
All right. I have A Farewell to Arms by Hemingway.
Right on.
I probably rank this a little bit higher just because it's Hemingway.
I think probably what I was trying to say with Blood Meridian. Like I just ranked it high because it's Blood Meridian.
Right. I don't need to say anything about Hemingway. Like if you don't know if you don't even know what it is, like how did you end up on a literature podcast, like listening to us? So we'll keep it trucking. But yeah, that's my favorite Hemingway. It's the only Hemingway on my list.
All right.
So
number 26 will be quick. Blood Meridian.
Okay.
By Cormac McCarthy.
There you go. All right. Next for me at 26. Where am I? I'm getting lost here. The Tartar Steppe by Dino Buzzati.
Okay.
You read the newer translation called The Stronghold, which you didn't love it, but we had kind of briefly compared some of the prose in the two translations, and I feel like they're very different books. I don't know if you would have liked The Tartar Steppe if you had read that version, but I just thought it was brilliant. Another book that builds so much anxiety.
Yeah.
You're certainly not necessarily, you're not really reading it for some grand story. It really is just a book that you experience, I would say.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the cover of the Tartar Steppe is way cooler than the Stronghold too. So if you can find the Tartar Steppe published by Canongate, that's the one to get.
Yeah.
So, all right, what do you got next?
Number 25, Mason and Dixon by Thomas Pynchon.
Wow. Okay.
So, I would say this is my. Well, I'm not going to say that because it's going to give away more for the rest of my list. I think it'd be obvious, but anyway, fantastic book.
Mm-hmm.
It's very. I think it's Pynchon's most wholesome book. Just the like I've joked about. I think it was with Buddy, not Buddy, someone else. While they were reading it, that like the literary bromance that Pynchon creates between Mason and Dixon is so fun. And it's funny, but it's fun. It's heartfelt. And again, very, very well written.
Yeah.
The way he kind of does this, 18th century pastiche is super cool. Once you kind of get the rhythm, it's really fun. And just an awesome book. And again, just kind of plays with this idea, that occurs throughout Pynchon's work about just like this idea of who controls history, these systems of control, kind of, and the frame narrative, the way it's kind of the story of these two being told by some random guy who wasn't really part of their expedition.
Yeah.
Again, kind of adds to that idea of like who is controlling what information we're being fed.
Yeah.
So
cool. All right. Before I go over my number 25 pick, I do want to take a moment to just let everyone know that our June book club read is official. It's The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers. Tennessee Williams said that she is the finest prose writer of the South, considered one of the best works of Southern Gothic literature. The Modern Library ranked it number 17 of the 20th century English novels. So if you want to join us for the book club read in June, the link is below. It's a great community of readers. We do weekly meetings. We have a very active Discord server with a whole bunch of stuff going on. And I also post content over there that I don't post anywhere else. So if you want to support the channel, do that. And my number 25 pick is Shogun by James Clavell.
Nice.
Yeah. Is this on your list?
It is not.
That's surprising. Did you forget about it?
Yep.
Okay.
Totally.
I thought this one might make it on there.
I don't think I would have ranked it
higher than,
like it definitely would have been 26 through 50, somewhere in that range.
Right.
But wow, I can't believe I forgot. I said this at the top of the show. Like, I'm going to leave and be like, I forgot about this book.
Yeah.
Or something
sure.
would happen where like you would mention a book and
neither of us are like big book trackers.
right.
It's only something that I even started doing a few years ago when I started doing like Bookstagram.
Yeah.
And I don't always keep up with it that well. So there's definitely stuff. I looked at that a lot to kind of help me form my list, but
Yeah.
there's just stuff that's not in there.
It's funny. Like I might have had this conversation with you as well, but I know for a fact I was having it with someone else. They were just like asking me, I use Goodreads or Storygraph or something like that. And I was like, I did for a while. And then I got to a point where like I hit the arbitrary numbers. I did 52 books.
Right.
I did 100 books.
Right.
And it got to a point where like, I just reached a point where I stopped caring entirely about quantitative tracking in general, and then just like tracking in general. I was like, I just want to read.
Yeah.
Like I even got to a point where like if I didn't care about like I stopped caring about like reading X number of books. And then I think it might have been, well, it was prior to this, but a good example, it was like when I was rereading You Brighten Risen Angels. Like I started it in December. I wanted to finish it so that I could be in my top reads of the year. But like, does it matter?
No.
Ultimately, like if I finish it the last week of December or the first week of January,
Absolutely not.
for the only reason it would matter is for like a list like that. If I'm
Right.
doing a hard and fast. But anyway, the point I was getting at is like they were like, and I was like, I got away from doing any sort of tracking, and it has been such a blessing.
Yeah.
I've loved it so much.
Yeah.
And then we got to the end of the year and we were doing our end of the year recap. And I was like, what did I read this year?
That's basically the only reason I try to keep up with it is like for recap content. For it
Right.
has no other purpose for me.
Yeah. Okay. So
Shogun, James Clavell, great book.
Great
A lot
book.
of people are familiar with it.
we did an episode on the show.
We did an episode in the show, so we'll keep moving. All right, what do you got at 24? 24, right?
24, Omen Setter's Luck by William Gass.
Wow.
Is that on your list?
Of course it is.
Don't. I'm making conversation, all right? Lower your voice. Fantastic book. I mean, we did an episode.
Yeah.
I don't need to get too much into it. Fantastic book. Gass's writing is incredible.
Yeah. His prose style is just something else.
It's something else.
It's the way he plays with language. It's a difficult book. So be prepared for that. It's in my top 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, all right. Coming in at number 24 for me is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens.
Nice.
My favorite Dickens of the 4 or 5 I've read.
Are you going to pull a Guardian and just have like 19 books by Dickens on?
Yeah, that's correct. The rest of my list is all just classic Western canon.
I love that someone commented that. It was like, of course, there's like no room for Gravity's Rainbow, but we've got the 4th best Dickens book on here.
Yeah.
That was my beef with the list.
So it bears repeating that, and they even admitted this themselves. The flaws of the list are probably more based on what's not on there.
Right.
And so when somebody says, well, you guys haven't read all these books, or you haven't read however many I think you should have been able to read to have an opinion, it's like, I don't need to have read every single book on this list to know that it's weird that there's no Japanese literature on here, because I've read Japanese literature and I know where Japanese literature kind of lands in the greater scheme of literature.
Right.
Like, that's up, dude.
Right.
You don't need to be a Rolling Stones fan to know that Creedence Clearwater Revival should be on a best 100 rock bands of all time list. So I'll stop ranting about it.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Dickens. Our picks for books.
Okay, Tale of Two Cities. Again, another book. What am I going to add to the conversation? So let's just keep
Right.
going.
23 for me, Warlock by Oakley Hall.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic book.
Yeah.
I talked about it a little bit last week or the week before.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about like Westerns. It is much more of a black and white Western, or not black and white, but a true Western in terms of like the narrative,
Sure,
and how the story is told. But what's great about it is Hall kind of gets away from the like black and white of Town Marshal good, Rustler's bad. And it's more so about how the exchange of information can affect the perception of certain people and kind of, just again, you can tell like how it was a popular a book that was beloved by Pynchon, and you can understand why when you kind of step back and you're like, this question of like who decides the morality of the heroes of history.
Yeah.
And there's also kind of some satire about critiques of like capitalism.
Nice.
So,
do you know that I have another Oakley Hall book?
Like you just own it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I don't. But
Badlands.
I have that.
Oh, you do?
I have that, and I have.
You just never hear anybody talking about anything else.
No, I know. I have 2 books by Oakley Hall.
Oh,
two
nice.
other books.
Nice. You haven't read them, have you?
No. You haven't read Warlock, so.
No, I know. Okay, so what number are we on now?
23.
23. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Nice.
Is that on your list?
It is on my list. It is in my top 20. I can't find which number it is, but I know it's top 20.
We have lots of content about this. We're going to keep rolling.
Yeah.
What do you got next?
Satan Tango by Laszlo Krasznahorkai.
Nice.
So, just fantastic book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just won the Nobel Prize.
Right.
Deservingly so.
Yep.
I would say I talked about how Venkheim's Homecoming is a funny book. I think Krasznahorkai's funniest. Satan Tango certainly has some elements of humor to it, but it is definitely a darker and more despairing.
Yeah.
I think the cover of my edition, the blurb on it is profoundly unsettling, and I think that is the perfect descriptor of it.
Nice.
So I'll leave it at that.
All right. Next, I have The Land at the End of the World by Antonio Lobo Antunes.
Nice.
This guy's got so much hype behind him as a writer. This is the only book I've read by him, and I would say based on that, the hype is real. The prose is incredible. The just the way he writes is really something special. Very, very violent. That camera died. Sweet. Very violent, and just a tough book to read because of the subject matter. But
21, The Dying Grass by William T. Vollmann.
Nice.
I talked at length about this book before. It's so well written, very compelling, unique in the narrative structure. Again, kind of goes back to what I was saying about Vollmann when you brought up The Last Field Marshal, that chapter.
Yeah.
That kind of the way that he adds complexity and dignity to characters is so incredible.
Nice.
So fantastic book. Check it out.
Number 20.
Number 20, Been Down So Long It Looks Like Up to Me by Richard Farina.
Nice.
Kind of a hidden countercultural classic, cult classic, if you will.
Yep.
Fantastic narrative, really well written. Farina was a really cool guy. The story is great. Nasis Papadopoulos is a very interesting character. And it is still pretty difficult to get, so I'm gonna keep it brief, so I don't rub it in everyone's face that I have a copy and they might not be able to.
I have 2 books like that in my top 20.
Oh, really?
Yep. And didn't supposedly the CIA kill him?
Depends how tinfoil hatty.
Okay.
You want your.
I'm just gonna go with that.
I believe it. It depends on how. Paranoid I'm feeling, but yeah.
So I hate to do this to you because I know this is definitely in your top 10.
Okay.
But I do think our top 10 will probably be pretty rapid fire because we've talked about our top 10 books a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
So ironically, we probably have less to say about our top 10 than any other books. But it's Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace.
This is number 20?
Yeah.
All right.
This is in your top 10.
For sure, dude.
Yeah, okay.
Of course it is.
All right.
Come on.
I'm not going to say much more about it other than...
I mean, we did a whole episode on it, didn't we?
I think so.
I think we did.
And I have a standalone YouTube video about it.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep trucking here.
At some point, I'm going to reread it and have a lot to say.
Sure.
Fantastic book.
Yeah.
Fantastic book.
All right. What do you got at 19?
19, Underworld by Don DeLillo.
Oh, okay, nice.
So, fantastic. DeLillo, classic DeLillo in terms of the quality of the writing. Very interesting themes, very interesting the way the story is told in reverse and kind of how it all weaves together. And again, another book that's, I think it's almost 900 pages, much more accessible than its size would lead you to believe.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it brief.
Cool. All right. Coming in at number 19 for me is Tree of Smoke by Dennis Johnson.
Nice.
Is this in your top 50?
It is not.
Wow. I'm surprised.
I've read a lot of good books, Tony.
Yeah. Same.
So have you. So have you. No,
we have a whole episode about this book as well.
Yeah, that's true. We do.
So if you're not familiar with it, it won the National Book Award.
Yes.
Or the Booker.
No,
National Book
Award.
And it is using the Vietnam War as a backdrop, but it isn't really about the Vietnam War specifically. I think Dennis Johnson just does a good job of writing interesting characters, and I think of this book kind of like baby Thomas Pynchon in a way. So.
Interesting.
All right, what do you got at number 18?
Number 18, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky.
What the Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
Seriously, it is in my top 20. It's
That's
a fantastic book.
Surprising to me.
It's a fantastic book.
I know you liked it, but I was surprised it's top 20.
Again, maybe I got a little...
Right.
Same thing.
It's Dostoevsky.
Yeah. It definitely top 50.
Okay.
Definitely top 50 of mine. I mean, realistically, and part of the reason that my list is structured a little bit the way it is, you kind of commented on Bolaño, Night in Chile being at 40.
Yeah.
Mason and Dixon being in I think I had it at 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
Without spoiling what my top 10 is going to be, I didn't want things to be super repetitive. It's not going to be a surprise to anyone. I have multiple Bolaños. I have multiple Pynchons.
Right.
I didn't want it to be stacked of Pynchon,
right.
I kind of wanted there to be some space.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I mean, like I said, it's not going to crack my top 10. Maybe I could have put it more in the top 30 versus 20, but
yeah,
it's a book I want on the list. So, all right, that's all I'll say about that.
Number 18 for me is Dispatches by Michael Herr.
Okay.
Nonfiction about the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that he was such a good writer that it really makes you feel like you were there, or it's probably as close as you're going to get without actually going there. And what was very interesting to me about Dispatches was when you read a lot of Vietnam War related books, they are often told by soldiers,
right?
Whether it's no matter who they were fighting for. And Michael Herr went there as a reporter.
Yeah.
And that added a really interesting dynamic because a lot of the American soldiers resented him because he had the ability to leave whenever he wanted to.
Right.
And they couldn't deal with the fact that why would you be here when you don't have to be, when we don't want to be here and we have to be.
Right.
He also was heavily involved in writing the script for Apocalypse Now.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is a great movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got next?
Number 17. I know this book is going to be in your top 10. We can kind of save our discussion for that if you want. It is The Tunnel by William Gass.
That's my next pick.
Oh, okay. So
this is the first time we've had an actual lineup.
17 for you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's talk about it then.
All right. I thought about putting this in my top 10.
I could have sworn it would have been in your top 10. I'm not surprised now that, that it ultimately didn't make the cut, but I could have sworn it would have made it into your top 10 because I know you loved that book.
I mean, I loved it, but I also loathed it, which I think a lot of people say when they read it.
Which is by design.
Right.
The Kohler is a despicable character. He sucks.
And as brilliant as that book is, because it's William Gass and he's just an unbelievable linguist.
Yeah.
I think that it just got a little long in the tooth towards the end.
Totally. And it's the musicality of the prose is fantastic. On a sentence by sentence level, it is one of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah.
But to your point of I love it and I loathe it. One of the main themes is exploring the moral fascism of the heart and how kind of using this idea of starting off kind of an investigation or historical insight into Nazi Germany and kind of looking at the ways that the average person is guilty of everyday mundane fascism.
Yeah.
Like, or guilty of some kind of ordinary evil.
Yeah.
And it is an exhausting book.
I think my problem with it, when it's funny to say I have a problem with it because it's in my top 20, it was very similar to my experience reading Something Happened by Joseph Heller.
Yeah.
Which is at some point, both books are like, okay, here's a chapter of me complaining about my wife. Now here's a chapter of me complaining about my coworker. Now
Right.
here's a chapter of me complaining about my kids. And so it just, and Gass is a much better writer in terms of prose than Joseph Heller is, in my opinion. So I think for the Tunnel, I was able to still really get a lot out of it, enjoy a lot of it, but it did kind of be like, okay, Gass, like let's maybe
Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Or dial it back. So it's funny because like I read that at like the tail end of 2023, I think.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And then like the tail end of 24 was when you started reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, fine, I'll do it. Like this will be and it just took me forever.
Yeah. We do a podcast episode about it?
We didn't because I took so long to read it.
Right.
We didn't get around to it. And so I basically read it like a year to the date from when I finished it the first time. It took me longer on the second time around because I took my time with it. And definitely that like element of loathing kind of became stronger. And then Chad messaged us that they were doing it for the 2-month review.
Yeah.
And I was just like, not a chance. I'm not reading this book for the third year in a row.
Yeah.
Like maybe at some point I will reread it, but like I cannot do it a year apart. Like I need more time. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so that was number 17 for you as well.
Yeah.
All right. Number 16, Collected Fictions by Jorge Luis Borges.
Nice.
So, I mean, we did a whole episode, well, not a whole episode on Borges, or that whole book, but Borges in general. So, if you want to hear more of my thoughts about why I love Borges,
Yeah.
back to that. But like one thing I'll say, and I kind of said in that episode, like I've been going down this Latin American rabbit hole recently, and just like the frequency that his name comes up.
Yeah.
Like it's just,
Even in non-Latin American literature, like when we read Trieste last month for the book club by Dasha Derndich, who's a Croatian author, there was an epigraph from Borges in there. You know,
there's someone pulled up a letter, like found a letter that Pynchon wrote while he was writing Gravity's Rainbow. And he's like, I've been rereading Borges.
Wow, that's cool.
So like,
yeah, very influential author.
So yeah.
All right, number 16 for me is a book that unfortunately you cannot buy. Love and Terror by William Herrick.
Nice.
Is this on your list?
It's not.
Wow.
And again, like as we started talking about it, I was like, this is going to be on Tony's list. I can't believe I left it off.
Yeah. So did we do an episode about this one?
I think we did.
I think we did. William Herrick.
We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
If we haven't done a dedicated episode on it, we have talked about it enough.
Right.
To have an episode's worth of conversation out there about it.
So if you're not familiar with William Herrick, a very underrated American author, his books are kind of tough to find because he just never was really that widely read. But super interesting guy, had a very, very crazy life, was involved politically quite a bit, particularly in radicalism, which is what Love and Terror is about. And it's kind of about the pitfalls of political radicalism, if you will.
Yeah.
Violent book, and another book like Rock, Paper, Scissors, that when I first started, I was like, I'm not sure about this, but ended up loving it.
It just blew up. I was the same way. Yeah.
So that was 16. What do you have for 15?
So how many? We've had 3 duplicates so far.
The Tunnel, Infinite Jest, 100
Years of Solitude,
100 Years of Solitude, Omen Setter's Luck,
Slaughterhouse 5,
Blood
Meridian.
So 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of the others that I mentioned that I assumed might be on yours are going to end up in your top 15.
Okay.
We'll find out, but I doubt it. Number 15, 100 Years of Solitude, Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Nice.
So We'll skip right over that. Unless you have something to add.
No.
Okay.
My number 15 is The Flanders Road by Claude Simoes.
Nice.
One of the most difficult books I've ever read, in my opinion. I think it's just very, very challenging prose style, and but just some of the most beautiful writing. There's a couple paragraphs in that book that I still think about all the time. He was also part of some fancy schmancy writing group, Nobel Prize winner. Yeah,
they're all part of. They're born into weird writing groups,
right? And what's funny about that book is it's kind of described as like a French soldier, horse-mounted cavalcade. Goes to on the front lines of World War II and promptly sees his commanding officer like shot off his horse, and then they get obliterated by like a Panzer tank division. You're like, oh, that sounds cool. I like World War II books.
Yeah.
And then you read it and you're like, that's technically not wrong. Like, that's not a wrong description of this book, but like that does not give you any indication of what reading that book is like.
Right on.
Because it is so fragmented and hallucinatory. So
cool.
Anyway, what do you got for 14?
I have got The Recognitions by William Gaddis.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's a fantastic book.
Also a book considered very difficult to read.
Very difficult to read. I mean, my favorite author of all time, Jonathan Franzen, has dubbed Gaddis as Mr. Difficult.
Right.
Which I think like is accurate. But also like it's challenging for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's challenging in the sense that it's erudite and there's a lot of allusions to things. Certainly Gaddis's prose is, complex and dense.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say Gass? I meant Gaddis.
Gaddis, yeah.
Okay.
True of both of them, but yeah.
Yeah. But very interesting novel. Kind of, it's about this artist he's a struggling artist, and he finds a wealthy patron finds him, is a better way to put it, and like contracts him to do forgeries, and just this kind of idea of authenticity. And it is very satirical of it was published in 1955. It's very satirical of kind of like kind of the upper echelon socialites.
Mm-hmm.
So fantastic book. Certainly someone out there that's more astute than me has more coherent thoughts on it. And I don't want to take up too much time. We're already almost 2 hours in.
Yeah, I think we cleared it. Okay, number 14 for me is White Noise by Don DeLillo.
Nice.
Is that on your list?
It's not.
Wow.
I again, similar, like I have, there's another DeLillo on my list. Realistically, like it probably could be in my top 50, but kind of what I was saying with, I just didn't want to like triple stack too much.
Yeah.
With too many different authors. I didn't want to cut a book out for the sake of like, I don't want this author again, but I also wanted to get some variety in my list. So, I mean, realistically, like, again, if like I said, I kind of overflowed, like, it's hard to do. Starts off being hard to come up with 50, and the next thing you know, you have 57 books. Like that probably is in there. I think, had we extended the book or the list to our top 100 each, it definitely would have been on the list for sure.
Yeah.
But
so White Noise, probably DeLillo's most famous work.
Yeah.
The satire and the humor of it is like so right up my alley.
Yes.
I thought it was incredibly prescient. Did we do an episode about White Noise?
I don't know if we did.
I can't remember if we did or not, but we've done 100 of these things, so it's hard to remember.
100.
It's hard to remember. But
that's what we should have done.
Recapping our favorite episodes.
Yeah, we should have, like, that trend where it's like you kind of blind rank things, where they give you like someone will tell you like White Noise, and you have to just like blind rank it when you don't know like what's going to be next.
Yeah.
We should have done that.
We'll do that next week.
Let's not. Episode 101 is just blind ranking the previous 100.
Yeah. So White Noise, great book. I think very forward looking.
Yes.
As far as the social critique.
Totally. The most photographed barn in America is such a great gag.
Yeah.
So great.
Just the commentary on technology and pharmaceuticals and the government's response to disaster and all that stuff. So, all right. What do you got at number 13?
Number 13, I have got The Savage Detectives by Roberto Bolaño.
Nice.
So, I mean, we did a whole episode on it. I've talked about this book at length.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to say much more.
Yeah.
Great book.
Yep.
You should read it.
All right. A Posthumous Confession by Marcella Simons is my number 13 pick.
What is it?
Posthumous Confession.
Huh.
It's was written in 1895. Imants was Dutch. Okay. And very similar to Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky.
Okay.
It's about a guy who comes from a pretty well-to-do family. He's an only child, and those combinations of things and his parents dying kind of young.
Totally.
That combination kind of like makes him a not so pleasant person. And he ends up, this is disclosed in like the first page or two. He kills his wife.
Okay.
And then like the whole book after that is kind of like the backstory of how he got to that point and his like mental gymnastics of justifying it. I thought it was brilliant. And that particular translation was done by Nobel Prize winning author Jan Coetzee.
Oh, cool.
So,
all right. Number 12 for me, book we've already talked about this afternoon. So it'll be quick. Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut.
very cool. So I'm actually a little surprised it was that close to your top 10. I know you really liked it, but I would have guessed it would have been a little further down your list. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, this is one of those ones where like top 20 for sure. Really, realistically, anywhere from 20 to 11.
Yeah,
it could have been in one of those spots.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it was one that like I said earlier when you mentioned it, like it had such a strong effect on me, like and kind of one of those ones that like I enjoyed it while I thought I was reading it and just have thought about it so much more since.
Yeah.
So,
what are we on? 12?
12.
Horrors for Gloria by William T. Vollmann.
Wow. Okay.
I really like that book.
Yeah.
It's so stylistically different from Europe Central and his nonfiction that I've read.
Right.
And that's got one of the saddest moments of any book I've ever read. When the woman takes the wig and like throws it into the gutter.
Yeah.
I had to put the book down. I was like,
I think I would have sent my copy off to a friend. At some point I'll have to find another copy.
It's so good. And it's short and
yeah.
He's kind of known for writing these long, complex, dense books. And it was like, this guy can also just write like a very emotionally impactful novella. If you're not familiar with it, it's about the Tenderloin area in San Francisco and like the down and out people living there. So,
all right, number 11, East of Eden by John Steinbeck.
Nice.
So
this is another book that's on my list.
I'm sure. Yeah. So we're at what, 7?
7.
All right.
Yeah.
So the 93 best books of all time.
Yeah.
According to Life on Books.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. What's to say that we haven't already said?
Yeah.
I'm tired. We've been talking for 2+ hours.
2 hours. Yeah.
At some point, we talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
Apparently, Netflix is coming out with a limited series.
I think in the fall. Yeah.
In the fall. So it feels likely that we'll end up reading this for the book club. We spoke briefly that in general, like it's a book we would both like to reread.
Definitely.
So with that coming out, that could be fun.
Yeah.
And it seems, I haven't actually watched the trailer yet, but it seems interesting.
I know Florence Pugh is in it. I think she's a great actress.
She is. From what I have heard, they kind of, whoever produced it or whatever, has spun it to make like Kathy more of a sympathetic anti-hero.
To be honest, though, I know there are people that feel that way about Kathy anyway. So, but I guess we'll save that for the reread.
Yeah.
If they do even half as good of a job as they did with the 100 Years of Solitude adaptation, I think it's going to be great. Because I thought that was fantastic. But, okay.
I feel like, just to be brief, like I feel like that the setting of that book itself leads to the potential for really high quality cinematography.
Definitely.
And just a well shot, good looking show. Whether the actual quality is there, we'll find out. But like, just I think it has the potential to just look good.
Yeah.
So
okay, number 11 for me is Shadow Divers by Robert Kurson.
nice
Nonfiction. This is still probably one of the best reading experiences I've ever had in a book. It's just so well done.
Cool.
It's about deep sea divers looking for a sunken German U-boat off the coast of the U.S. And deep sea diving is freaking crazy.
Yeah.
It's got a cool blend of history and this extreme sport. A very kind of like controversial thing to do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not always clear on the legality of certain things. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of competition within that world of people to make the next big discovery. So it's just very, very well done. So
Right on.
all right, we're into the top 10.
We're into the top 10.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it. So we've got our books. We'll physically
Yep.
count out the top 10. Number 10, A Naked Singularity by Sergio de la Pava.
Look at that.
So I've talked about this book at length before. I was not able to read it when you did it for the book club.
Yeah.
Because I had just had brain surgery.
Yep.
I wish I had.
But you did get a signed copy of
I
it.
did get a signed copy. I wish I had. I probably could have. I read some pretty great books, difficult books.
Yeah.
While I was recovering, so I certainly had the bandwidth. But part of it was like, I don't know. What else? I was recovering from brain surgery. Like I just wasn't sure where I was going to be at. But yeah, fantastic book. I mean, it's funny. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Wonderfully written. Unique in a lot of ways. It's a great book.
Definitely unique. I had some mixed feelings about it, but I thought the beginning of that book is actually one of the best opening chapters of any book I've read.
Totally.
So, okay. I had a lot of mixed feelings about picking this as number 10 because I only just read this, but Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. I mean, this book is just unbelievable. And we talked about it last week a little bit because it was on the Guardians list.
Yeah.
I usually would like to have a little more time for a book to percolate in my brain, but this is the only book that I finished and then immediately started rereading. So I'm working on a reread of this.
Awesome. Cool.
Joseph Conrad is considered like one of the best prose writers in the English language. I think it lives up to that hype. Yeah. I don't have too much more else to say about it. You should read it. You should watch Apocalypse Now after you read it because the film is based on the book. You should read about Joseph Conrad because he was an interesting guy, controversial person. Understandably, he was incredibly racist.
Yeah.
The book certainly has its shortcomings in that way, but also considered a very pinnacle moment of anti-imperialist literature, which is interesting.
I definitely would like to read it. Someone asked me on the Discord, like if I was going to kind of go down the Conrad universe with you.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Unless I definitely would like to read that.
Yeah.
Unless it drastically, affects me. I probably won't go down the whole Conrad rabbit hole like you've been. I've said it several times. Like all I really want to read right now is Latin American stuff. Like
right.
I'm
it's very different from that. So
yeah. And like, Tom's Crossing is very different. Like I'm enjoying that, and I don't want to like abandon that in pursuit of like the Latin American stuff that I'm reading. But like I'm just having so much fun doing that.
Yeah.
And given what we talked about earlier in the year, where I just like was not very interested in reading, like kind of having a thing to latch onto has been a lot of fun. So
cool. What do you got for number 9?
Number 9, another book we've done a whole episode on, so I can save my breath. I'm sure, and as you're in your top 10,
it is.
It is Hard Rain Falling by Don Carpenter.
It's my number 8.
So, what's actually funny, kind of going back to what you said about your Heart of Darkness, and how you were kind of hesitant to put it on the list with some recency bias. Like, so I know what your number 1 is. You know what mine is. I'm sure you do.
Yep.
But when you texted me when you finished that and you were like, this might be the best book I've ever read or something along those lines, I kind of had a thought today of like, I wonder. Like, is it gonna?
No, I couldn't.
Is it gonna like? How close is it gonna be to what I know is your number one?
I couldn't put it any higher than 10, just because
Yeah.
I need some space.
Totally. So yeah. Anyway, Hard Rain Falling. I mean, what a gut punch of a novel,
Yeah.
but so beautifully written.
And
We did a whole episode on it. So
It
like,
came out of nowhere for us too, because like at this point, Hard Rain Falling is well known.
yeah.
I don't want to pat myself on the back, but like a lot of that's because of the content we made about
This was the first book we did for the book club,
right.
where like, it was a book that I'd heard good things about. I was like, this could be fun. And
Same.
just,
I was like, oh, NYRB, they're known for putting out good stuff. This is probably
it just
good.
blew us both away. Blew
And
everyone in the club
I think
away.
everyone in the club, yeah.
So,
yeah. It's my number 8 pick, so that'll save us a little time.
okay. So, well, you got number 9 to go anyway. So.
Number 9 is a book I've talked about a lot. If This Is a
nice.
Man by Primo Levi, his Holocaust memoir in his time at Auschwitz. What can I say? Just he was so brilliant, and
Yeah.
it shows in his writing. And he lived through one of the most horrific things that someone could live through.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book about it. So,
Right on.
yeah, I'll kind of save that. So,
All right. Number 7 for me is Libra by Don DeLillo.
nice.
A book that I have talked about a number of times before. Just a fantastic book. You know, it's about a kind of conspiracy by the CIA to attempt to kill John F. Kennedy
Yep.
and set up Lee Harvey Oswald as a patsy.
Yep.
And it is very compelling in the way that it takes Lee Harvey Oswald, who I said this before, like is in essence the kind of average American, you know, at in the 60s. You know, was kind of let down by the educational system at the time. You know, there's quite a bit of evidence that with like any sort of testing, Lee Harvey Oswald was exceptionally dyslexic. And because it was just overlooked and the education system didn't take care of him,
Yeah.
everyone just thought he was an idiot. And so he wasn't very successful in school, didn't really have any chance to develop a career. So naturally you end up in the military and kind of let down by that environment and wants to succeed there. And it's also feeling let down by the government. So like maybe he's going to turn to leftism and communism, and then is maybe kind of left down by that. And he's just this prototypical American being pulled in two directions by two very strong and opposite forces, and kind of just leads to this whole culmination. So, but very, very, very compelling novel.
Nice.
So,
Was that your 8 or 7?
number 8, excuse me.
Yeah. Because I had Hard Rain Falling at 8 for
Yep.
myself. So I'll go to my number 7, which
You
is
want me to just jump to 7 real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, number 7 for me, You Bright and Risen Angels by William T. Volman.
William T. all over this list today.
I talked about this briefly at the end of 2025 with our reading recap there. When I read this then, it was a reread for me. And the first time I read it, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. But it's such a difficult book. I mean, if you flip through it, like so much of it is like very little paragraph bait, very few paragraph breaks. It is maximalist as all hell. At a number of times, it is just this wall of text.
Yeah.
It's just attacking you. And going back in and rereading it and just kind of having an idea of what I was getting into, it is such a good book. It is the writing is incredible. It's so funny. It's so absurd and imaginative. Like just the things that like Volman thought of. It's so insane. It's such a good book.
Yeah, it's pretty high up on my I need to read this list. So
Yeah, it's almost like I texted you like every other day while I was reading it, like, hey, you should read this book. Hey, you should read this book. Hey, you should read this book. So
yeah.
honestly, at some point in the future, if you reread it, I will probably
hop on.
I loved it so much. It would be a great book to do an episode on.
Cool. Okay. My number seven is a classic, All Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Murray Remarque.
Nice.
I don't know who translated this, but translated from German by A.W. Wien. Another book that, I mean, what can I say about it? It's a very, very well-known classic.
Yeah.
I read it years ago. Probably should reread it soon, but still kind of holds a place in my mind. It's just a great anti-war novel, really.
Totally.
So, yeah. All right, what do you got next?
Up next for me, number 6, another book that I have talked about extensively that you really can't get anymore, and that is A Bended Circuity by Robert S. Stickley.
Got some Twilight Zone stuff going on there.
So, yeah, I mean, again, I've talked about this book a ton. It's so beautifully written.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. There's really, it's very Pynchon-esque in the slapstick nature of it.
Yeah.
And you can tell, kind of where that influence came from and where Stickley ran with it and made it his own.
Mm-hmm.
And then the narrative itself is so unique and imaginative and very compelling. So, yeah,
cool
book.
Number 6 for me is another book about war, War Trash by Ha Jin. This is a fictionalized memoir about a Chinese soldier fighting for North Korea in the Korean War and getting captured and put into a POW camp run by the U.S. Just really sad, funny at times, and about a topic that a lot of American education doesn't get close to talking about. So,
yeah.
And this was winner of the Penn Faulkner Award.
Cool.
So I highly recommend it if you're looking for some historical fiction about that conflict. This is a good one. So
right on.
Yeah.
All right. Number
5.
Number 5, Moby Dick.
Nice.
Or The Whale.
Yep.
By Herman Melville.
Hermie. Do we need to say anything about Moby Dick?
The sequel's coming out any day now. Yeah. Melville's been working hard at work.
Yep.
No, we don't need to say anything about it.
Okay.
I read it's a fantastic book.
Yep.
So, and honestly, it definitely has its challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one that has been made very daunting.
Yeah.
And it is not. Once you get into it, it's a lot easier of a read than you might think. So,
yeah. Cool. All right. Book that we've already talked about today.
Number 5.
Omen Setter's Luck by William Gass. I do think this is the better book compared to The Tunnel. I think it's narratively stronger. I think the prose is just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just due to the length, but this book doesn't give you the same kind of fatigue that The Tunnel does.
Yeah. And I think I would agree with all of that. I think for me, I ranked The Tunnel higher on the strength of its ideas.
I think that's fair. I mean, yeah, they're both incredible books for very different reasons. I mean, both of them are very clearly William Gass. Like the writing is very William Gass.
Agreed.
But other than that, they are very different books.
To me, yeah. And to me, this doesn't really affect my rating of the two. And you'll agree with me for sure. It feels like such an accomplishment to finish The Tunnel.
It does, yeah.
That is a book that you're like, holy shit, I did it.
Yeah. It's got a high DNF rate.
Understandably.
Yeah.
Gass has straight up said it. The first 100 pages, just beating the shit out of you to see if you'll last.
Which is funny because I actually thought the first 100 pages was the best part of the book.
Don't get me wrong. I don't disagree with that, but it's intense. It's certainly challenging as hell.
Right.
Not that the last 500 pages get any easier,
right?
But it is hard out of the gate.
Yeah,
to see if you are gonna last.
Yeah.
So which isn't can't quite say the same about Omen Setter's Luck. It's definitely hard out of it's definitely a challenging book from cover to cover, but
yeah,
it gets harder as you go.
Yeah.
So number 4, 2666.
Nice.
By Roberto Bolaño.
Just go watch any other podcast episode if you want to know Andy's thoughts on this book.
Yeah, for real. I won't say much about it because, recently I talked about how I'm kind of going back down the Bolaño rabbit hole that I never really left, but I'm kind of back interested in it again. And, I talked about this multiple times. Like, I think while I was actively reading them, The Savage Detectives was my favorite, or I enjoyed it more. 2666 is the one that I've thought about the most since finishing.
Nice.
And this whole Bolaño kind of kick that I've gone back on, like that is the culmination of where it's going. It's like I can't wait to reread this book, and just kind of get into it again with a greater appreciation for Bolaño's literary universe.
Nice.
So,
all right. Number 4 for me is a book that we've already talked about just a moment ago, and it's East of Eden by John Steinbeck.
Nice.
Oh, there it is. Okay, moving on.
Right on. Number 3, again, another book that I have talked about a number of times.
Yep.
Is J.R. by William Geddes.
There you go.
So,
boom shakalaka.
Hilarious book, in my opinion, and opinion is shared by pretty much everyone that's finished it. Like I talked about this in the episode we had Seth on, that it is like, I think for me, the pinnacle of postmodern fiction. It just captures all of these kind of loose characteristics that get attached and attributed to postmodernism.
Yeah.
And for me, just like, I've said this kind of every time I talk about the book, I don't need to get too into it, but like so much of scenes that were like take place in the book felt like they could have been lifted right out of my everyday life.
Right.
So for me, like, and I would have moments at work where I was like, this is the book.
This is JR.
This is JR.
Yeah.
Like just that sense of deja vu that I got while reading it. So
cool.
Number 3 for me.
All right. Number 3 for me. A book you can't get.
Nice.
How to Quiet a Vampire by Borislav Pekic, translated by Stephen M. Dickey and Bogdan Rakic. This came out in the 70s, originally written in Serbian, and it is about a former SS Gestapo officer who, it's 20 years after the end of the war. He's been denazified, and he's going on vacation to a town in Italy that was where he was stationed when he was a Gestapo officer, and he starts to mentally unravel. So it's epistolary. It's written as a series of letters to his brother-in-law, who is a historian at a college, and very much like Infinite Jest, where there are end notes, and you have to flip back and forth because end notes are part of the narrative. And it's just a very deeply psychological and philosophical novel. It's kind of funny at times, despite it being about a very bleak topic, and just brilliantly written, in my opinion. And the translation is top notch. So
right on.
But yeah, you can't get it. So sorry, guys.
Bro.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me, a book you can get, a book we've talked about at length.
Yep.
I will probably talk about at length in the future. Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace.
The classic lit bro.
Oh,
pick.
it's yeah. So I mean, my top 10 is a lit bro's wet dream.
Top 10. There was some surprising variety on your list today, I would say.
Some. Yeah. Very minimal.
I mean, enough.
Enough, yeah. One of the best books I've ever read. I mean, it's so fucking good. So I love this book so much. We did a whole episode on it. Like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I've talked about it at length before. It's so smart. It's so funny. It's so prescient. It's so thoughtful.
Sad.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned this earlier. Like, my kind of 3 main things that I look for in a book is if it will make you laugh, if it can make you think, and if it can move you emotionally.
Yeah.
And this book does all of those.
Does all of them. Yeah.
So, like, for me, like, if a book does all 3 of those things, it's automatically going to be a very good book. If it does all of those things well and repeatedly, it's going to be a fantastic book. And like, this is just such a good book. It's so great. It does all of those things repeatedly and to a high degree. So it's
Also a book that will give you a great sense of accomplishment when you finish
a great sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And to me, like, there is reading before Infinite Jest and reading after Infinite Jest. And I don't mean that in the sense that like everything is going to pale in comparison to Infinite Jest, but like I think there is such a sense of like what I said earlier, kind of about Cactus Boots, and kind of how it sort of changes your idea of, or that book really plays with the idea of what a novel can do.
Yeah.
I think Infinite Jest will change the reader's idea of what a novel can do.
I would agree with that.
So I think in that sense, there was reading before Infinite Jest and there was reading after Infinite Jest.
Yeah. Okay, my number 2 pick is The 40 Days of Musa Dog by Franz Werfel.
I was wondering when this would show up.
Yep. The more time goes on, the more highly I rate this in my brain, because I just have, since I've read this, it's kind of like what you just said about Infinite Jest. Like, I just haven't read anything since then that I'm like, yeah, this was better than The 40 Days of Musa Dog.
Right. Yeah.
This was translated by Jeffrey Dunlop, and then was revised and expanded by James Rydell. Cool. Initially, this was published in English as an abridged version, but this particular edition is the full shebang. So it's about the Armenian genocide, particularly the Musa Dog resistance during the Armenian genocide. I going through this today, and this is something I kind of started to pick up about myself in general, is I do tend to like historical fiction, particularly when it's about a little bit more off the beaten path type of topics.
Totally.
Or maybe a topic that's well covered, but maybe from a different angle. And so this is very like Tolstoy-esque. It's a grand narrative with a bunch of characters that kind of all interweave, and there's a love story in there, and it's violent, and it's just a great book. So.
Totally. My favorite book of all time,
does it need to be said,
is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. No, just kidding. Everyone knows it. It is Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon.
Mr. Pynchon.
So, yeah, I mean, again, same thing as Infinite Jest. Like, I don't need to go on and on and on again.
Yep.
Talking about this book. It is my favorite book of all time. I remember because I did an episode of, was on an episode of the 2-month review with Chad when they covered Vineland by Pynchon. And, kind of like Chad was asking me like my backstory as a fan of Pynchon and how I kind of fell backwards into everything. Or I went a little bit more into depth about how I kind of just found myself here.
Yeah.
And I said it when I was talking to Chad, and it was true then, and it applies to our podcast as well. Like, I would not be here having this conversation if I had not read Gravity's Rainbow. I was talking like the reason I wound up in a spot where I gave a shit enough about literature in general to be on a guest on someone else's show was because one day I read Gravity's Rainbow. I've talked about this before, like just the web that this book has created for me. It's very reminiscent. Like one of the things I talked about with Pynchon, particularly in Gravity's Rainbow and throughout his work in general, is like this idea of digging deeper while also spiraling out. And like I have done that in trying to understand Gravity's Rainbow. Like you try to dig deeper into this like historical thing that he references, and it just the spider web of other references that encompasses.
Yeah.
Just grows from there. And like with it sounds hyperbolic, but with zero exaggeration, reading Gravity's Rainbow changed my life.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
So like it's my favorite book of all time. It is I'm hard pressed to imagine any book will ever supersede it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what would dethrone Gravity's Rainbow?
Like I could see something dethroning JR as my third favorite.
Right.
Infinite Jest as my second favorite. Like at some point like Gravity. Realistically, what's going to happen is like Gravity's Rainbow is going to stay my all-time favorite book, and then like my second favorite book will be the third time that I've read Gravity's Rainbow. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's just
there you go. Well, maybe it will be dethroned someday when you read Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. Funny that both of our top picks are loosely about World War II.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this has been much like Gravity's Rainbow is to you. Everyone kind of knows this is my favorite book. What it covers, the way it covers it, the satirical writing is just so up my alley.
Yeah.
And I struggle to think of a book dethroning it. And it's such a well-known classic. I don't really have too much to say here in addition.
Totally.
And we're coming up on 3 hours.
Holy shit.
So not only is this our 100th episode, but I think this will be our longest ever.
One of our yearly recaps was close to 3.
Yeah. We'll have to see when the edit is done.
So,
but yeah, I would love to know what you guys think of our top 100.
Which is actually what, 96, 97?
92.
No, 90. Yeah.
Not 100.
Not even 95.
But how many of these have you read? Let us know. And were there any picks on either of our lists that surprised any of you? And if they did, what were they? And
yes. Please, I am excited to hear the internet's response.
Yeah.
Like I, have been very critical of other lists in the past.
Yeah, be critical of ours. It's all good.
Yeah, I said it at the top of the show. Please, internet, open your cloacas wide and let me hear everything you have to say.
And thanks for sticking with us through 100 episodes. And if you're new here, go listen to our back catalog, I guess. Or maybe stick around for the next 100. We'll see.
That's actually, you know what? That I said this, like we should have done this. All of our followers, please do this. In the comments, rank your top 100 episodes in order.
If you give us your top 10, I'll be interested. I'd be interested in that. So
top 5, like whatever, like just some of your favorite episodes. Period. Just let us know. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. And join us next week when we'll be talking about something other than books, I think.